Chairman Shannon Hester presiding. God bless these United States, the great state of Tennessee, and this honorable meeting. At this time, Commissioner Hooks will lead us in prayer. Afterwards, remain standing for pledge to our nation's flag.
Let us bow our heads. Father, it's again that we've come to you, Father, thanking you for this time, Lord, and recognizing, Lord, that you sent your Son, Jesus. Give us life and give it more abundantly. Lord, and we pray, God, as we gather here this evening, Lord, to, Father, look at the business that is before us, God. That everything would be carried out and in decent and in order, Lord, and that, Father God, Father, that we could leave here this evening, Father, still friends. Lord, and help this county to grow, Father God, and Father, prosper. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated, and please silence your phones. All right, roll call's been conducted, 15 to 15. First item up, approval of minutes for the March 20th, 23 meeting. Wilson and Hooks, Commissioner Wilson. Nothing further. Mr. Hooks.
Nothing further.
All right, then accept, is that, Ariel, is that where on this here we're gonna do it, waive the 12-day rule for that?
We'll go ahead and vote on the minutes and then it'll go straight into waiving.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Motion passed. 15. Approval of minutes of the March, are accepted of committee reports and correspondence. And then I think we'll have to waive the 12, I'm sorry, first things up is waiving the 12-day rule.
Add number 29.
All right. For item number 29, do I hear a motion for Mr. Berry and Mr. Gann? Commissioner Berry.
Yes, I'm sorry, this is the way the 12-day rule on all of them, or just?
No, just this one. We
They
get
just
the
wanted
special
to add
one.
the budget committee minutes and they were filed late.
Number 29?
Yeah, it's not on the agenda, but they just wanted to add that.
Oh, okay. Mr. Chairman, is it appropriate for us, since we've got some others to waive the 12-day rule on, can we do it at this time?
We can, I have it added into the agenda once we get to the resolutions. It's up to you.
Can we do that, Mr. Counsel?
2/3 of you can do whatever you want to with the agenda.
All right, then, at this time, I would, since you had the, motion, we'll add all 12-day rules, waiving of all 12-day rules, which are a total of 1 here and 3 more. At this time, do you still accept that? All right, Mr. Berry, you still have the floor.
Thank you, sir, that's all I have.
All right, Mr. Gann, you have a second.
I'm good with that.
All right, any discussion? All right, hearing none, call the vote. 15. All right, and then, notaries, do we have any?
They still have to vote on, the minutes and correspondence.
I'm sorry.
And this, we do have notaries after.
Thank you. That's why I do not like 12-day rules. Mr. Duff got the motion. Do I hear a second? Mr. Gann with a second. Commissioner Duff.
I would like to point out on the audit committee that there were no findings. This is 2 years in a row, thanks to Connie and the school are both in that, so great job for both groups. Nothing further.
Mr. Gann.
Nothing further.
All right, any discussion? Mr. Berry.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just on report number 8 on the Long Range Planning Committee, it was in there about setting up and actually 8 and 10 go together, I guess, the Roane County Comprehensive Plan. Do we need to, will the comprehensive plan from community development part, will that come to the budget committee?
Yes, it will come to budget committee next, through our budget work, through the next budget committee next month it will. The timeline to start on that is July 1st. Yeah, it'll come to budget committee and commission.
This is a lot like we did with the school, that where you have the public input, just around people tell you what you want.
Yep. So that'll be part of it, and then, as I told the committee, you know, just because we're hiring a firm to lead us through, the work is still done by us, you know, but getting public input is certainly a big piece of it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, any other discussion? All right, hearing none, call vote. All right, notaries?
We have Lindsey Collins, Laura Cox, Michael Sear, Donna Demyanovich, Kelly Jackson, Thomas Clinker, Richard Piker, Karen Lampley, and Cynthia Shaw.
All right, motion by Wilson, second by Henderson. Commissioner Wilson.
Nothing further.
Commissioner Henderson.
Appreciate your willingness to serve.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, call vote. All right, 15. All right, at this time, hearing of delegation. At this time, we'll hear from our audience, our public. We'll give you 3 minutes. So at this time, is there anyone wanting to speak to the commission? After this session ends, at no other time we'll be able to speak unless the commissioner yields to you at that time. So any speakers at this time? All right, hearing none, seeing none. Let's move on to the county attorney's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We don't have court until June, so I don't really have anything to report tonight. You have in your packet the court orders from our last session. And most of the ones that were not resolved in February and March are reset for June. The only other thing I have is I told you last month that a person who had bought some tax sale property from us conveyed it back to us. I have done the title search on the property. I've gotten the summons from the tax sale, and there are title problems with it. So I'm going to be coming to you next month with a resolution recommending that you reject that property. But that is all I have tonight. Does anyone have any questions?
All right, hearing none, seeing none, we'll go to the county executive report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Beginning next Friday, budget planning meetings with budget committee will begin and run through mid-May. Tonight's vote will help set the direction for how the budget committee will proceed through the departmental request. And just to provide some context, I know we had great representation, great participation at the budget committee last Thursday night, but just to give some context as we look into our key vote tonight on the resolution that'll probably draw the most attention. So just to do that, about a month ago, Sheriff Stockton approached our staff and reported critical shortages in staffing patrol deputies, especially. As a result of the city of Rockwood raising their officer pay mid-year, it had caused unanticipated turnover. In response, I invited the sheriff to attend the next budget committee on March 16th, and then we planned a commission work session that happened on March 27th. Based on the feedback that we received from commissioners in that special call meeting, our team worked closely with the sheriff's staff to develop a compromise. That compromise decreased the sheriff's request for increased pay by $972,632. It also increased employee health insurance benefits by capping the amount employees would contribute to their monthly premiums. The effort from the county executive's office in this case has been to provide an alternative to help the sheriff solve a problem and create a solution that the commission might consider. So after passage of that compromise resolution by the budget committee last Thursday, you have before you on your desk a new revision that states that the cap on the employee contribution for health insurance will be evaluated annually. This is to prevent the county from being locked into having to cover a dedicated amount when insurance rates increase. I believe our office has provided you with a viable alternative to solve the sheriff's challenge, but we also county and I stand ready tonight to provide any clarification you need for decision making. So that was just to provide some context. Also today, I know our office received it, you probably did too in your email, an update from TCSA regarding the governor's proposal to create a grant program that would place an SRO in every public school in the state. And as it is currently written, schools that already have an SRO are still eligible for grant funding. That means that Roane County schools will be eligible for grant funding for 17 SROs, again, as it's currently written. We're still waiting to see how this plays out. Obviously, it hasn't passed the legislature yet. But you may want to, let our legislators know where we stand on that. It would definitely be a benefit to our budget if we were able to receive that grant funding for 17 schools. And again, we don't know how much those grants will be, but still, it would definitely help the budget and help us put an SRO in every school. Tennessee Broadband Accelerator Program. Roane County was one of 5 counties across the state that was chosen to participate in the Tennessee Broadband Accelerator Program. The initial orientation meeting is on April 26th in Nashville. Kenny Clinton, who's our facilities and maintenance director, will lead that team. It involves a 16-week process to develop a plan for how to serve all of Roane County with broadband internet access. There's 13 people in that group from across the county. So I'm excited about what that, so it starts on April 26th, goes 16 weeks. We'll have a plan in place, and then they'll open up the grant window, and we should be in optimal position to receive grant funding. So we'll see how that goes. Changes in city managers. Both the city of Oak Ridge and city of Oliver Springs are experiencing turnover with their city managers. Thomas McCormick resigned from Oliver Springs on Wednesday. Corey Jenkins was named the interim city manager. And then Mark Watson will be retiring from Oak Ridge on May 6th. Oak Ridge recently hired a firm to lead the search for a new city manager. And then finally, I sent formal invitations to 16 individuals across the county to participate in the Roane County Opioid Abatement Settlement Funds Advisory Council. Don't say that real fast many times. We are still receiving responses. The response has been very favorable. Thank you for those who have agreed to participate. There are 3 commissioners invited to participate. I'll be scheduling a meeting in the coming weeks to begin developing a plan and a recommendation for how to distribute those funds coming back to commission. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman. Be glad to take any questions. Oh, one more thing. Ms. Johnson asked me to agree, and this is in your correspondence. But we had a proclamation from Tennessee Donor Services declaring April as the National Donate Life Month. So I just wanted to raise your awareness for organ donation. If you are not an organ donor, I encourage you to be one today.
Saved my life.
Yes, sir.
Saved my life.
Yes, sir, it did. It absolutely did. Yep.
All right, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
for clarifications for everybody, which resolutions pertain to the proposed?
Would be,
increase?
the first one to transfer the investment income is 040305. And then the one that moves, or that reappropriates the funds in the general fund will be 042306. So it's 05 and 06.
05 and 06.
Yes, sir.
And then yeah. All right, thanks, sir.
You're welcome.
All right.
Mr. Chairman, I can't get my thing straight. Let's see, on the broadband grant.
Yes, sir.
Is that the one that Comcast was waiting on the state to issue? Is that the same grant this summer? They said that there should be some money, so that's the same thing?
Yeah, late summer, early fall, and I think, so this 16-week program starts April 26th and will wind up in July sometime. So I'm thinking the grant window could open up August, September.
That's probably the same money that they were talking about.
Gotta be.
The state would have some money coming.
Well, I hope it's not, I hope it's a different bucket. I'm guessing it is.
And I guess last month we were saying our industry would make an announcement in a week or two. Are we still waiting on that announcement? Nothing bad happened.
No, nothing bad happened, we just,
Still waiting for the announcement.
still waiting for the announcement, yes.
Okay, and on our EMS building in Harriman, do we know what that cost came in? The cost on the building at Harriman EMS building?
It's before my time.
That was about 200 total.
So,
But we are still,
and the next question would be Galahar Road.
yep. So I've set a September 30th deadline on that project to be complete.
Do we have any idea what that was, what that cost?
Well, we're working with between thinking compact 280 and 350 would be what's left in that fund. Hopefully we'll come in way
When we
under that.
we had allocated 700,000, so
Right.
we started July 1 at about 400,000. We still need about 80,000 to do some paving work,
At
which
Harriman.
leaves us, yes, at Harriman, so that leaves us a little over 300,000 to work on the Gallagher.
So Harriman came in
Harriman
much
came
higher
over
than,
slightly over budget.
higher than we thought we
Right,
could
we
do.
really did not have a budget to set, we just set
Right.
700,000
Right.
between two buildings.
But we thought that one would be about 150. Gallagher Road, is that just a metal building,
It'll be similar to what we do in Rockwood.
mobile home?
Yeah. Sure.
So we should have some money there freed up then on our art money to, if we got
I keep
to-
saying that, and then as Mike's going through project management and looking at every cost and engineering and site
I'm saying if
development.
Harriman was 200,000, then we had about 125 in Rockwood, so that should leave us some money.
Let's hope that ends up being the case.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Project management gets frustratingly expensive sometimes, when you add up how it adds up. But September 30th is when I'm pushing our staff to finish that project at Gallagher Road.
Okay, well, I mean, just, it looks like the Harriman thing went in well, all we were supposed to do there was a beam over the garage, and some cosmetic stuff.
If it's more than a
That's
whole,
what I'm saying, so we ended up with a heating and air unit and lots of other things. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, any other questions for the county, mayor, county executive? All right, hearing none, there's no, zoning resolution, so we'll go right into the, new business. First one up is resolution 0423-01, a resolution authorizing the abandonment of a portion of Bayside Drive and authorizing the county executive to sign a quitclaim deed for said road. Motion by Hooks, second by Wilson. Commissioner Hooks.
Don't have anything I'll yield to the county attorney on, I think.
This is a section of Bayside Road that was never developed. It runs between two properties belonging to Mr. and Mrs. Van Norman. And then it dead ends at the lake. So the Van Normans have requested that that part of the road be abandoned and then be quitclaimed to them so it can be part of their lots.
All right, anything else further, Mr. Hooks? Commissioner Wilson.
No, we'll explain, nothing further.
All right, any comments or questions? All right, hearing none. Call the vote. Motion carries 15. All right, 42302, resolution to declare real estate as surplus and transfer it, to the city of Harriman, Tennessee. Commissioner Henderson, Commissioner Henderson.
nothing further.
Commissioner Ferguson.
Nothing further.
Any questions, any debate? Hearing none, seeing none, call for vote. All right, 15-0. All right, 03, resolution establishing the contribution rate of the Tennessee Consolidated Retirement System for legacy employees hired on 1 October 2015. Commissioner Berry.
Yes, we do this every year. We put a higher percentage in than, I think, we say the state was 2.25, I think, we're 3.35, so we're putting 2.56. So we're putting more in than the state allows, so that we don't get caught with a shortage if and when that goes up. So that's just an annual thing, and it did pass the budget committee.
All right, Commissioner Hooks.
Nothing further.
All right, any questions? Any debate? Hearing none, seeing none, call vote. $15. All right, next up is, resolution, in support of establishing an ad hoc ordinance committee under the Roane County Commission oversight and direction. So, Commissioner Wilson.
I have nothing further, we're all pretty much aware of this one.
Commissioner Gann.
We talked about it last month.
All right, Madam Clerk, here is the names that'll be on that. Commissioner Berry, Commissioner Lehman, Commissioner Park, Commissioner Gann, Commissioner Brackett. There'll be one representative from the Sheriff's Department, and then there'll be one from the codes, Mr. Copeland. At this time, is there any other, because this is the one that I set up for an ad hoc, is there anyone else that you think might benefit from being a member of this committee?
You need to say it again, just like about last night.
Huh?
The other commissioners about last night, please. Brackett, Parks, Barry Lehman.
Berry, Lehman, Parks, Gann, Brackett. All right, hearing none, Mr. Goss.
Mr. Chairman, and this probably needs to go to the county executive. Have we even thought about, I mean, did we even think about maybe pulling from the various areas to the county, maybe having, you know, one representative as far as the citizens and on it?
It's, I mean, Mr. Goss, this is the chairman's committee to appoint.
All right, say it again,
What was the question?
Speak, turn your mic on.
Did we think to add any, I mean, was there any consideration of asking anybody from the community, you know, putting anybody, because, you know, there was various places throughout the county that we had these issues. So, I mean, you know, was there any thought of asking anybody to, you know, as far as citizens to be on it, I guess?
So, that's a good point, but the night we announced that, Commissioner Goss, there was 38 people who showed up.
Right.
And the majority of them were from Rockwood and south of the river, or south of Kingston. So, yeah, I mean, and I'd say once we advertise it again, because it will be advertised in the paper, those same 38 and more may show up. And this is not a one-time meet and fix, guys. I'm gonna tell you right now, I do not envy you being on this meeting. That's obvious from the night we had the special call meeting on. So, yeah.
That's all.
But we can adjust, and whoever you elect as the chairman for that can adjust that, with me. If they need to add someone else, we can definitely add someone.
Thanks, sir.
All right, any other discussion or debate or anyone? All right, hearing none, seeing none, call vote. All right, motion carried. Next one up, so I don't get out of line, so we stick to this, so resolution amending the appropriation resolution 06-22-05B, section 14, reflecting changes in investment interest occurred in Fund 151. Mr. Hooks with a motion, Mr. Gann with a second. Mr. Hooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll yield to the Finance Director for explanation.
In the history of the interest, it's all divided in between certain funds. 151 currently has a general fund and some of the smaller special revenue funds that keep that interest payments in there. It has been the history of maybe just getting 100,000, but this year we have had such a rise in our interest rates that we are about to see $900,000 go into the general debt service funds. With the situations that we are having with the Sheriff's Department and our general fund shortage, it's more appropriate to take those funds and put them into the general fund instead of using them into the general debt service fund. Any other question?
Nothing further.
Commissioner Gann.
No, she said exactly what I was gonna say, so it's good.
All right, Commissioner Brackett.
I guess the question I have, could we not put this 05 and 06 together? Is that not for the same purpose?
So this would be to address the revenue and any shortfall needed as we go through the budget process. So whether we would be looking at resolution in 06 or not, we would probably be asking for this because we've got all that interest just sitting there and it's not like it's being reinvested. So we would want to pull that in the general fund to help the budgeting process that we're beginning on Friday anyway. It's just going to give us $900,000 more to work with. Now then, as we go into the next resolution, then we've got some more freedom to be able to do some things with, even this year. Because that transfer would happen immediately.
So this is not necessarily funneled one direction or one.
No, it goes in general fund. So it can be used for whatever we need. If we're looking for, as we go into budget process, if we're starting at a deficit of $635,000, well, here's $900,000 that we can use to help address that. So while we've kind of connected them, because you can look at them separate.
So they're kind of connected.
Well, we connected them in conversation, because when we're talking about this new expenditure, we also have identified a source of funding that we could use for that increased expenditure in the middle of the year. If that increased expenditure didn't exist, we would still be asking you all to do this, to help the budget process move forward. Connie?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, since it's tied in together, I'd like to make a motion that we push this to our 24 budget year. This and the 06, that we push it back, we give some time to do our due diligence, to make sure where we're at.
So Commissioner Brack, let me back you up just a
All right.
second. So a motion,
I'd like to make a motion that
no,
we
you
push.
would have to make an amendment to said motion.
I'll make an amendment to the said motion that we push this back to give us time to know exactly this body and to know what we're doing and how we're doing it. We've had so many changes. We've had,
All right, so state your full motion that you.
I make a motion that we amend the motion to push this back, 05 and 06, back to the FY budget 24.
I think we'd have to take, we'd have to get a motion in a second on 6 before.
Well, point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I think we have to do 05 because we're allocating and moving money around. So I think 05 would have to be by itself, right, Mr. Council?
I think that would be the better procedure
Separates it out,
to
and
do
then,
them
and
separately.
then you can make the same amendment then to 06 if you want to. And I think you'd have to make.
So what you're saying is 05, regardless of where the destination is, needs to go ahead and be moved into the general fund.
Well, no, I'm just saying, I think his motion to include 05 and 06 would be, where I think he can make the amendment to 05 if he wants to, and then make the amendment to 06 if he wants to.
Right.
I think your amendment's fine, but you're just gonna have to do each
Well, I like
resolution separate.
Amend for the motion, 05 that we push this.
So currently we have an amendment to the motion.
So, if I understand correctly, you're not wanting to amend the body of the resolution, you're wanting to defer it to the budget meeting in
FY
June.
24, the budget, right, in June. Yes, sir.
Our motion to defer then, instead of motion to amend.
No.
Is that better language?
We'll get through it here in a minute.
All right. Do I have a second? I'll second. So Brackett with the motion, Bell with the second. We'll have to vote on the amendment or the deferral. So how do you want to do that?
I was gonna say Barry has a
Do you
request.
have a discussion first?
Yeah.
Are you finished, Mr. Bray?
Go ahead. I think so.
I guess my question is, on the interest, Connie, are we taking any interest like away from the schools or anything?
No, there is a percentage, there's a calculation based on the cash that it has on hand at an average. And the schools, we are not taking anything away from the schools. 51% of the interest that is collected within the county stays in the general debt service fund. That is the one that I'm wanting to pull. This money is detriment to our budget process, so waiting till June is gonna put me so far behind, I can't do anything with the general fund until I know that I have all these pieces into place. So that interest is part of our budget process for me to move forward.
So how much money was involved in the interest, 900,000?
900 in just for 151. We're about to get like maybe $2 million, $3 million in interest this year.
And that 900,000, how much of that would go toward the next resolution with the sheriff?
About 300,000. But then also remember, we moved up the resolution for the one pay due to the reporting. So that comes out of the fund balance too. So this all kind of plays into play with our budgets from this point forward.
So if we didn't have the increase in interest, would we be able to do what we're wanting to do with the sheriff?
Not without the 7 pennies.
Okay, so again, that's my question. So we had interest income that we didn't anticipate.
Correct.
So rather than using the interest income that we didn't anticipate to be able to use as we see fit in the county, we're taking that interest money and using it for raises.
Pretty much, but there's also other pieces. There's other pennies that we're bringing over to help offset that as well.
Okay,
But yet, oh, sorry, go ahead. We have to remember too, that we had one-time money given to the sheriff's departments with the ARP. That's one-time money that we still have to have resources to cover. That was over $470,000. So that one-time money is coming forward and eventually it will catch up to us. So,
and at the time we did that, we talked about that.
yes,
Because at the time, we said there's no tax increase.
correct.
Okay, so if we didn't get this $900,000 of interest money, then we would have another tax increase on that ARP money of.
Correct.
How
If there was
much-
no new revenue.
How much would that have been?
Well, when Ron and I spoke, we said, 470,000, that is roughly a value of a penny right now is 150,000. So you're talking 3 pennies, 4 pennies.
Okay, I guess I'm regressing because we had this discussion then, and now we've got an opportunity to put some money back to do whatever we need to do with other things. And now we're spending that money plus some other money. So it just sounds like every time we get a chance to get ahead, we're just barely staying even.
That's why we don't get pennies back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Commissioner Wilson.
I just want everybody to realize before that you contemplate, kicking this can down the road, that obviously this was a criticality pay. This wasn't something that could wait. We're dealing with, officer safety right now, and I hope that you all understand that. You're down to 9 officers. Your job as the county commission is to make sure that they have the adequate resources to be able to do their job. So you're basically telling your community that we're not going to help you get the proper law enforcement because there's not enough. To me, this is a detriment to be able to do this. I don't think anything's gonna change between now and then. I am 100% against kicking this down the road, for sure. I think this is something that needs to be done now. I think, when you're down to 9 officers, unless somebody wants to put on a gun and go out there and help, then I think our job is to make sure that they have the proper funding, proper whatever, to get these officers on the road. This is what Build Back Better does. Sorry, that's what it does. It puts everybody in a bind. It causes a chain reaction around. It causes all the way around to where you have to do this. We're trying to keep up. And right now, we're down to 9 officers is what we're having on the road. And there was a shooting the other day. Thank the Lord in heaven that our officers were where they were at that time. I mean, thank you, Lord, that they were there, or there would be another life that was lost. I'm telling you, there would have been. We're very fortunate. I'm not one to give speeches, but I am now, because we're fortunate for them to have been where they were with the amount of officers we had. And God help us all, that if there is a school shooting, God help us all. Put that in the paper, Damon. God help us all. That we did not take action, and there are people, there's going to be kids lost, loss of lives because we want to kick this can down the road. God help us all that we cannot do anything about this. This is where we're at. This is where we're at, people. I'm telling you, I am very passionate because I've done this. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to put on that badge and that gun and go out there and risk your life and have to search a building by yourself because there's nobody else around. It's not good. It's not safe. I wouldn't want to do it again. There's no way. Every time that they get out of the car, this is what happens. Hey, what are you doing, man? Hey, that's why nobody wants to do the job. That's why nobody wants that job. Nobody wants to do it. There is nobody wants to stick a gun and a badge on and do that job and be videoed and be everything every single day and then get retributed and condemned and then say, we don't want to support you. We will not support you. We're not going to give you that raise. We're not going to allow other officers to protect Roane County. That's how passionate I am about it. I've never been passionate about anything else on this commission than I am that. It's the only time that I will be that passionate. And we have to do something. Please, for God's sake, I'm begging you, don't kick this can down the road. Please. If there's a school shooting tomorrow, they're going to be playing me back. They will play me back and they're going to go, man, they tried. They tried. That's where we're at. That's all I'm asking. I've never begged hard enough. But if I'm begging in front of you right now, that's what I'm begging for. That's all. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Go ahead, County Executive.
Sorry, Mr. Chair. For the purpose of the budget committee moving forward and other budget committee members, this motion here, 05, if we move forward with it, is a tremendous help for us in the budget planning process, no matter what you all choose to do in 06. So while we're talking about 05 because of 06, 05 tremendously helps us plan the budget moving forward. So I would encourage all of you to treat them separately so that when we begin planning on Friday, that we've got this income to work with, regardless what you choose to do tonight.
All right, Commissioner Brackett, you had a request to speak earlier?
No, I did
All
not.
right, any other debate on this? Yes, Commissioner. Hold on just a second. Any other debates? All right, Mr. Berry, Chair recognizes Commissioner Berry.
Yeah, I disagree. We're not kicking it down the road. If you'll remember, sheriff came to us and asked us to raise the salary to $44,000. That will get the job done. As I remember, we did that. There's no one who takes care of the budget better than the sheriff. He has since he's been in. There's no question. So basically, we haven't paid for that raise yet. You just heard the budget director say we haven't paid for it yet. We don't pay for it until 2025, right?
2020, we have one more year
Which will be 2025
where
budget.
we used up the ARP money.
So we haven't paid for that yet. And now, we're coming back and I guess the other thing, and maybe we're mixing 05 and 06 together, I understand that. But we had a personnel committee meeting 2 months ago to talk about benefits. We know that was the thing that was mentioned here last month, was benefits. But we haven't been back to the personnel committee to look at additional benefits, which this would fall under. And we've had, how many, Mr. Executive, how many times have we changed the pay chart that we're looking at tonight? 4, 5, 6? A lot. So, when you say, and God help us if something happens, but that's gonna happen, that's gonna happen if we have 19 or if we have 9. I just think that I've done my part of supporting the sheriff. when he asked for a raise, we gave him the raise. We haven't paid for it yet, so we're gonna be going from 39,000 to 50,500 or 51,000. So we're gonna be going from 39 to there in one swoop. And I guess I'm looking at it from, I'm wearing two hats. I'm wearing a commissioner's hat, and I'm wearing a commissioner of my colleagues' hat, of my constituents. So I don't share the same tone that you do. I think we've not kicked it down the can down the road. We've basically got the can, and it's becoming bigger and bigger as we go down the road. We can't sit here tonight and say what our tax rate will be in 2 years, can we? It's gonna be more. We know it's gonna be more because of all of the things that we've added, plus, and
There is revenue growth. I'm going through the budget and I am going through, I'm adding more revenue to where it was under budget. I am reducing some of the expenditures. My goal and Wade's goal is to get what we prepared for you and proposed Thursday, to get it to where we have a zero effect on fund balance after our fallout. And if I may, I want to make one comment, if you allow me. We have people sitting in a desk, just receiving money, making $40,000. And if we want to just say that our officers are only worth $44,000 to get out there and risk their life, I have a problem with that. And I know I don't have a say in this, but I do push the money around, and I do see all of that overtime that these gentlemen and ladies are putting into. So take that into consideration. A 35-hour week for most of us. We go home and we put our head on the pillow. These men don't.
okay, I think the key word there, you're pushing money around.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
No,
I'm not pushing money. I'm allowing you as a body not to have to do a tax increase by pushing pennies from one fund to the other. That is moving it, pushing it to the general fund to where it does not need to be in the general debt service fund this year.
Okay, but we've already established that without this money, this couldn't happen. Without the increase in interest money.
It's part of the puzzle. It's part of this piece that we need to have them.
Thank you. Anything else, Commissioner Berry? Commissioner Gann?
Yeah, first thing I'd like to say is, I'd like to thank each and every one of you law enforcement officers. I'd like to thank you for what you do for my community. I'd like to thank you for what you did a couple of weeks ago. Well, I thank you, Connie said every day, and what Ben said every day, you put your life on the line. You do it for everybody in this room and everybody in this county. And you do it willingly. I don't think you're doing it for money. I think you need money just like I do. You need to pay your bills. You need to raise families. You need to have things in your life just like we need to have things. I respect Mr. Brackett. He's trying to look out for the taxpayers. I know he is. And I respect Mr. Barrett. I appreciate what Ben said. And I appreciate what Connie said. I hope we don't have to have a tax increase. I really don't. I don't like tax increase. There's not a commissioner on this panel right now that wants to have tax increase for anything. But I said this the other night, and I mean it. I represent the people of the 3rd District. And people get tired of hearing it. I know they do, but I don't have a Dollar General store. I don't have city police. I don't have city fire department. I don't have a lot of the things that other folks have. But what I have is, I have the county sheriff department, and they come through my neighborhood, they patrol. I had a family just several months ago that someone came up on their door, and their doorbell called it, that ring thing called it, at 2 o'clock in the morning, young boys. They sent me pictures of it, and they asked me, they said, can you reach out to the sheriff's department and ask them to patrol and look? 2 days later, at 12 o'clock at night, they saw a sheriff's patrol car going by. They sent me a message, said, thanks, they're out here patrolling their neighborhood. I don't want a tax increase. Nobody does, but I think I could go back to my people, Chris, in District 3, and I can say, how much is it worth? What's it worth that your grandmother's protected? What's it worth that your children are safe? What's it worth that the police are in our community? I understand this is a lot of money. I mean, I understand it's a lot of money, Ben. But what's it gonna be in 2024? What's gonna happen? Right now, we're down 9 officers. What's gonna happen 6 months from now if we're down 12 officers? What are we gonna do then? I mean, really, what will we do then? Right now, we're down 9, so what happens if we're down 12? What do you do then? We're gonna call an emergency meeting? We're gonna form a workshop again? We're gonna do an ad hoc committee? What are we gonna do? I mean, we're gonna be trying to pull something out somewhere. Right now, tonight, we have an opportunity to try to solve this. I don't know if it's the right thing, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if this is the right thing, but I think tonight, this is the only thing we got, Ben. I really do. And I respect everybody's opinion on this, I do. And I respect these new commissioners too. These new commissioners that we have on the commission now, they ask good questions and they ask hard questions. And they challenge us and they challenge me. And they tell me things that I don't know sometimes, Junior, because they study, Ron, and they want to know everything. But for my community, I'm like Ben, I'm passionate about this, and because this is not the chief's problem. This is not the sheriff's problem. They can say tonight, I'm tired of it, I'm done with it, and they can walk out that door and they can leave and they can go home and they can go to Hobby Lobby and work. And it will still be Roane County's problem. It will still be this commission's problem. It's not their problem. I understand it's their budget, and Ron Berry's correct. Sheriff Stockton has the best budget, runs the best budget in this county. He's able to give money back to this county because they're good stewards with their money. We need to be trying to help them. And guys, I like to say a whole bunch of stuff, but I get accused for talking too much. But I want you to know I appreciate you, and I'll look you right in the face. Because I'm man enough to look you in the face, Jack Stockton, and tell you that I appreciate you. I appreciate you that you're 62-year-old and you go into a crack house by yourself. Please don't do that no more. Give some of us a call, but don't do that stuff no more. You don't need to be doing that. But I appreciate these guys, and as Ben said, consider it. Things can happen, I'm telling you. We didn't think things would happen a couple of weeks ago, and it happened. And it can happen again. God, as Ben said, God help us that it doesn't. So I thank you all for letting me speak.
All right, Commissioner Hooks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know most of us have saw the news today where our neighboring state had a shooting in another business. This time, the police officers weren't so fortunate. 2 police officers got shot. Just want to bring that to your attention. I too am a retired police officer. I too have been out there many, many times in situations to where the dispatcher would have to call somebody from another county, highway patrol or a deputy sheriff from another county, to render aid to me when I was in need of help because I was the only officer on the road. Just on the county line, the other side of Harriman, I pulled a vehicle over one night. 2 occupants in the vehicle. They decided they didn't want to go to jail. And I was by myself. Alamorian County, the only officer on the road, the only officer that wasn't laying in the bed asleep. And I had to wait on the Roane County Sheriff Department to send an officer to Rock Bridge Road on the other side of Harriman to save my bacon. If you've not been there, then you don't understand. When you can get up of a morning and there's no threat to your life, and you can go to work and know that you're going to come home to your wife and children, that there's no threat, that's good. But when you are a police officer or a deputy sheriff, and you pin that gun and badge on, you get up of a morning, you don't know if you're going to come home or not. And it's done been said, it's not the sheriff's responsibility, but it's the county commission's responsibility to see that the elected sheriff has what he needs to keep the citizens of Roane County safe. Now, there was something mentioned that it would be the same if you had 19 officers. Be the same if you had 20 officers. But we don't have that. Just the other day, our highway patrolman that backed up the sheriff and his 2 officers that he had in the location of that shooting, that backed the sheriff's department up, was pulled to Nashville. I know we've all saw that on the news. Left 1 highway patrol for 3 counties. So you can't depend upon them because they have their own responsibility. We have our responsibility to do what's right and provide adequate safety for the citizens of Roane County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Hooks. Commissioner Cunningham.
I appreciate all these speeches because I couldn't agree with you more, Mr. Wilson and Mr. Gann, Mr. Hooks. Being from Oak Ridge, I almost feel like I'm not part of this, but I am part of this. And if there's any one thing in the world that I think would be worth raising a tax for, that would be it, would be the sheriff's department. Simply because you read the paper, and every time I pick up that Roane County news, I'm just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And I don't know how many of y'all live here. I don't really live here, but I read that. And all I have to say is, oh my God. They deserve more than a raise. A lot more. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Goss.
Commissioner Wilson, I commend you for what you said. God has got to take up through this. That's all we have got. I've been in emergency services over 35 years, always back law enforcement. But let's not forget that we had EMS personnel and fire that went in shortly after this. They went into an unknown situation, didn't have an idea it was an active shooter. The reporting system we get on it, where it pages us out, just said shooting. Yes, these guys, hey, they are to be commended. They're my heroes. Tons of friends. Yes, we do have to have God. But like the other commissioners, yes, we gotta make sure that everything else, the county's taken care of, the taxpayers are taken care of, and that is a way to do it. But we gotta make it equal across the board. We gotta make it fair. And we gotta make sure that it keeps us in good shape, and it sounds like that, we may be in good shape. But again, yeah, it is God. That's all we've got. Thanks.
Commissioner Barton.
So, the folks that's for it, everybody in here is for the guys getting a raise. I'm for the guys getting a raise, everybody in here.
But postponing it, it's not give them a raise. We have a budget process that we do yearly that starts this week. And there's a process you go through. And so my biggest problem is backing into the 23 budget and amending it. We're not saying not to give them a raise. They're going to get a raise. I don't know what that, if it looks just like it does now, so be it, that's fine. But we're not talking about not giving them a raise. We're talking about just postponing it to the 24 budget, which we're in negotiations right now. You're having negotiations on the 24 budget starting this week. We're talking 11 weeks, 7 paychecks. That's all we're talking. The postponement is for 11 weeks. It's for 7 paychecks. There's a budget process that you go through every year. That's how the government works. It's a budget process. Budget process goes through, we work off the budget. That's how governments are ran. Revenue comes in, expenditures goes out. So it's not like we're villains here, not wanting to give the guys a raise. We're wanting to give them a raise, and they're going to get a raise. But there's a process. You don't back in and amend the budget for $400,000 for raises, dip into the fund balance to do so. When you've got a budget, you'll have the totality of the budget. You'll know what the raises are. You'll know what your budget is, whether it's from solid waste, whether it's from here, whether it's the sheriff's office, whether it's OES. You have a process, and you see what the budget looks like, and that's what you determine on the raises on. And if it's what they want and what they need, hey, I'm for paying them $100,000. They're worth it. Because I don't want to do it. Sheriff Stockton said you go ride with the deputies. I don't want to. It's dangerous. I don't want to. But as a county commission, we have a responsibility of the taxpayers' dollars not to spend money before we even see it on reoccurring expenses. We have to let our income determine, our revenue determine our expenditures, whatever they may be. If we can afford to pay them $100,000 a year, that's fantastic. If we can afford to pay them $50,000, that's fantastic. They're worth more. But we can't let our expenditures dictate what our revenue has to be and run a budget financially healthy. You can't operate a government that way. You can't operate a business that way. You can't operate a government that way. So we're not bad guys here. You all have tried to villainize every one of us that is for postponing this to the 24 budget cycle. But that's how government works. That's how governments work. We're not wanting to see the guys get a raise. We want to see the process work like it's supposed to. From budget cycle to budget cycle.
All right, any other discussion? Mr. Duff.
Connie, could you please explain where this money is going in the 05 resolution? What is going on with this?
Okay, so,
This is just, we're not approving it to go anywhere but into these funds. We're not saying that we're not approving a budget amendment right in 05, correct?
all right, so the process is with the investment income, everything goes into the general debt service fund. At June 30th, we go through our calculation of seeing what cash balances each fund has. It's a worksheet. Then we do an ID and we transfer from 151 into the school funds, into the solid waste, funds that are designated per this resolution where that money goes to. So anything that is above and beyond $50,000 that was budgeted for 151 is excess. And if you recall, at June 30th last year, you were, but as some of these commissioners did, the general fund moved over $1 million. We transferred $1 million because our fund balance was hefty. We had about $5 million over 2 years building up our fund balance. And I know, had had we known this situation was going to come up, that 44,000 was not gonna be enough for our police officers to stay in Roane County, I don't think we would have proposed to move $1 million into the general debt service fund that is sufficient right now to take care of 2 years of expenditures. And I know we want to build up our general debt service fund so that we don't have to issue tax increases when we borrow funds for a jail or a school. That's gonna happen. We don't have sufficient revenue coming in to build a school or two or a jail or records preservations. We have capital assets that are growing old as well as the schools. So we have not even touched that. But this $900, we're guaranteed as long as the feds keep the interest rates, that's reoccurring money.
The $900,000.
The $900 for this year, we're not, we're locked in at 3.9% on the bank here for till December. Our local government investment pool's 4.4%. As long as the feds keep that above 4 or 5%, we're doing great, and that's gonna reoccur. But what we're seeing is that we can't keep this stagnant. We are trying to look at new revenues. Currently, the new assessment report I have, your penny is valued at $150,000. When I came in here, 2016, it was valued at $121,000. We have growth. It takes a lot of homes to make a difference. We have to get that industry in. But if that doesn't happen, we still are going to have growth, not just in our assets. Our main asset in our county government is people. 90% of our budget is salary. And we have gone for so many years of saying we can hire somebody below poverty level, and they won't say anything because they'll stay here. We have not made changes in so many years. Now, you can make $16 flipping a burger. It takes a lot to run the schools, to run the county. When you come in and you pay your tags, you don't think nothing about what goes on behind these walls. You all have an important job to do. I have one, Wade has one, Russell. It takes a team to keep this county running. I want my safety. I live in a rural area as well. It's pitch dark. We've had killings in my area. I'm not trying to take money and make decisions on one-time resources. We want the growth. We are planning for the growth. This is just to get us to the growth. But it's up to you to vote yes or no. This voting yes tonight will help set the course for everybody else in the county.
But this one is not.
151 to 101.
That's all it is. Did I go above and beyond too much?
Is that what, so you
That's
go
all.
from and to,
That's all.
from 151 to 101?
And it cannot be spent until it comes before it's direct.
Right.
All right, Commissioner Brown.
I just
I'm
want to
sorry,
echo,
you'd already spoke. Let me go to Commissioner, Bell, and then I'll come back to you, Commissioner.
This is getting pushed off to the budget, time, which would be June. Even if it doesn't get passed today, it could.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bale, I can't hear you.
It could likely be changed, in June. We could pass this in June, the same resolution. So it's not that we still can't work and project that this would be the route we would have to take. So just pushing this off to the budget time doesn't make it to where we can't work with it. Because if that's what, if we turn over all the rocks, and find all the money, and find all the ways, say the 7 pay periods or, however long it is, we can still bring this up. Then we can still pass it if that's what needs to be passed for, to fund whatever raises we do across the board. So, you know, I've been hearing it for, 2 or 3, 4 weeks, and I've heard it for 9 years. It's always gotta be now. No, I mean, Parks hit it right on the head, we need to do this, during budget time, and look at everything from a totality standpoint. Everybody's budget needs to be passed at the same time, in my opinion. That's what we're charged with as commissioners, and, we're the people, we're for the people, we're here to talk for the people. The elected ones right here are the ones that's here to talk to the people. But I think it's a smart thing to do, and then we'll get down to the nitty gritty when it comes, budget time in June. But it's a smart thing to do, to put things off that we don't have to pass right now, so we can look at it longer, and, maybe find another loophole or two to help things out. Maybe we can give a raise across the board, and I hope that's what we can do. So, that's all I've got.
Commissioner Brackett.
I was just wanting to echo Commissioner Parks, and that's my belief. And I'll look Sheriff Stockton, all you deputies, everybody out there in the eye, and say, I'm not against you, and I'm not saying you're not gonna get a raise. I'm saying we have a hard job as well as y'all have a hard job to sell, and you have been trying to do it. So I won't be a villain, and God help us if something happens, but a full force or not, some of these instances that can happen. We all know that. We're all adults, we've seen it. But I have no trouble. Like I said, I'm not saying it's not coming. And like I said, I'll look each one of you in the eye and say that it's not gonna happen. But I won't be a villain by trying to do what's right and try to do everybody. And I've said it in any meeting we've been in. I think, have I changed? I don't think so. So, it may not be popular, but that's where I stand on it. Thank you.
Commissioner Berry.
Yeah, how long have we known about the 900,000 in interest?
About 2 weeks before we got,
So we've known.
so just shortly,
So we've
it's
known that
within
account.
less than a month.
We know that account's been growing from an interest standpoint from every report we got, right?
The investment income, it's on your financial
Right,
report.
I'm saying, I don't think we even get a financial report.
Yes, you do.
Do we?
Yes, you had it scanned, it was emailed to you.
But it just seems like, we're in a situation where every time something gets in a budget crunch, we always find money. We can always find the money to do this or do that. And I guess the only thing with this one is, as Commissioner Parks said, we're 11 weeks out, and being able to see the whole budget then, and I think you said the other night, the departments have already sent their budget in, and they all look fairly good. So there probably doesn't appear to be a budget crunch per se in terms of other departments. But certainly, you get a better look at what we can do for those other departments, right? We'll know exactly what's available, and be able to adjust benefits accordingly, salaries, the whole shooting match.
We have a couple of departments that are requesting additional personnel. We have some departments that we have been able to cut some dollars this past weekend. So there is a savings there. But to have it, to postpone, what you're saying is we won't go through this resolution. I will just put everybody's information. This budget request will go into their budget line items, and we'll proceed as we have in the past. That's what you're asking us to do.
No, I think what we're asking you to do is the same thing. If you're going to use investment income tonight, you would use investment income at the end of the year, right? Yeah. To say, here's we've got $900,000 of available money. Here's the request. Here's what the sheriff's requesting, and you use it. It's the same difference.
Same difference, yes, but what I would not have known, or I would not have even dreamed of moving that money over if we did not have this situation at the sheriff's been. I would have left it in there, let it grow as we had planned by moving the $1 million and use that for debt issuance costs.
And we're
There's
still
still
getting
enough
interest
in
income,
there.
we're
There's
still getting some interest income off the money that's left, right?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
yes, there's still growth
Okay.
in there.
So that's what I'm saying is,
Mr. Berry, to clarify there too, this was, when there was a challenge that appeared, we began looking for a solution to the challenge. Connie identified this fund, this revenue source as a potential solution to the challenge. And it's that simple. Had it not occurred and this challenge not come up, it would have just been part of the revenues realized through the budget planning process.
which we would use in the end of the year,
Absolutely.
to look at next year's budget. I mean,
Not for the, we would not have looked in the general fund if we didn't have this, is what I'm saying.
we've made adjustments as we've gone through this year
Correct.
for salaries and things, based on some additional funds that were found. So it's, whether it's tonight or 11 weeks from now, those same funds are gonna be available.
Yes,
Okay, thank you, Mr.
whether you approve it to be in 151 or 101.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, at this time, no one else is, requested to speak, so, Mr. Goss.
Mr. Chairman, this may be a question for executive, or it may be for the sheriff. If this is passed tonight, how quick is it going to get the force back going? And I think I might ask this question at the budget meeting, I probably just didn't get over the question. But how quick is it?
05 would be.
With the force back?
We're talking, again, we're mixing two different resolutions. I really wish we would.
That's right.
05 moves revenue from 151 to 101 that we can use for whatever. 06, if you want me to go ahead and answer that, 06, if that one is approved, that goes into effect in the next pay period beginning April 16th.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Goss.
That's all I've got.
All right, any no other discussion? Commissioner Hickman.
So, if we go through this, it's gonna cause a tax increase eventually. Right?
No, not necessarily. I'm not willing to jump to that conclusion.
So, if we go through with this, then our cities will probably have to do the same thing. They're going to raise taxes to bring their salaries up as well. And I'm not against the salaries, by no means. I wouldn't do their job for them. But, you know, we're getting ready to cause our cities have to raise taxes too. So even though the county may not raise them, our cities are gonna have to. So, you know, we've gotta think about, it's like throwing a rock in a creek. You don't know what them ripples do to the environment around you. You know, what it disturbs, or what that rock disturbs in the water. You know, so we're getting ready to throw a rock, and it's gonna ripple to our cities. And whether we do a tax increase or they do it, there's gonna be a tax increase. We need to think about them as well. That's all I'm saying.
Mr. Hendricks, I've been in touch with other mayors, and you're right, that there will have to be some adjustments at the city level. Had the city of Rockwood not thrown that first rock, we're probably not having this conversation. Because, yeah, that ripple effects, by Rockwood's mid-year raise to their officers caused us to even have this discussion. Otherwise, we're still just probably going through the budget process.
So, are we comparing apples to apples and oranges to oranges, or not? I mean, are we gonna match what Rockwood does? I mean, how's their benefit package and salaries and all lined up compared to us? I mean, you know, I think something needs to be looked at from the cities and the surrounding counties. Just, I mean, we can pump the brakes a little bit and do this, and let's do it right and do it the first time. You know, I agree with them. We can wait till the budget. That'll give us time, maybe
put an ad hoc committee together and find out, you know, where we stand between the surrounding cities and counties before we jump head first in water. That's all I got.
Commissioner Cunningham.
Didn't we give Mr. Cofer an extra person? And where did that money come from?
His revenue.
Commissioner Berry.
Real quick. Rockwood didn't throw the first plane, guys. We threw the first plane, raised $44,000 from 39. So let's make sure we get there. Rockwood raised it again and put us in somewhat of a bind. But they didn't fire the first shot. So we fired the first shot. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Gann.
Junior, someone may be able to clarify this. I don't think it's a rumor. But I think Harriman is in the process of maybe raising their salaries already. Not that we have, not based on whether we have yet or not. I think Rockwood has, and I think Harriman is strongly considering doing it, no matter what we do here tonight. And if somebody knows, you might be able to clarify that, but that's what I've heard, so. That's already in the process.
Well, we know it's gonna happen, if we do anyways.
Call for the question, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we have a call for a question. Requires no second.
Yeah, it has to be a second.
Second.
And then you have to vote on whether to call for the question, and 2/3 of you have to vote in favor of it.
All right, we can do a voice vote on that, because it's not set up for electronic. So you can just do a call on it, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Calling for the question, to
Yes.
cease debate.
Barry,
Yes.
Brackett,
Yes.
Cunningham,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Ferguson,
Yes.
Gann,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Hendrickson,
Yes.
Hester,
Yes.
Hooks,
Yes.
Kirby,
Yes.
Lehman,
Yes.
Parks,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
15 yes for call for the question.
Call for questioning, is passed. This time, we're gonna vote on resolution 04-2305 deferring to the end of the budget cycle.
The amendment, right, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, the deferral.
The amendment.
Well, it's not an amendment.
This
it's
is
a
the
deferral.
resolution, that's what we're voting on here.
I thought you're voting on the
Read it.
We gotta
deferral.
do the amendment.
I thought he amended.
Deferred, this is for
We're
me
just
what
deferring it
Mr.
to
Brackett
June.
asked for.
Okay, deferring it. Okay.
It's deferring it instead of amending,
Gotcha.
because he didn't make an amendment, he just said to defer. All right, we all clear on, this is voting to defer 2305. All right, so make sure we're clear on it, call for the vote. Eight no.
So we have to vote on the resolution now.
At this time, we will vote on 04-2305, unamended, unrestricted itself. Just for clarity. Do I hear a motion?
You've already got it.
I already got a motion and second. If no discussion, which is none, call the vote.
Hers are still set up on motion.
I got it. It was Hooks and Gann originally. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Four 2305 passes. All right, next up, is resolution 04-2306. Before we do that, point of order, in referring to Robert's Rules of Order in discussion, so that we don't take too much time with all these resolutions, a commissioner is permitted to speak twice on one resolution, not 3 and 4 consecutive times. I've been lenient in enforcing that and holding to that, but I'll ask you with these future resolutions that's coming up, you'll have the motion to speak twice. You will not speak the second time until everyone in the chair has had the opportunity to speak. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, can we take a break?
Yeah, restroom.
Yes, sir. Let's, 5-minute break. And if you wanna look at that, it's on page 43, highlighted there.
Thank you, sir.
Right, and I've been asking about it. So let me tell you something. The next one, drop in extra. I dropped it, never looked back. And he let me travel all the way around. And you didn't want to see him. He didn't go, he didn't drive over. Didn't know.
Yeah.
If we leave it, we can't come back.
Well, let's ask, is it, we can't come back until after there's several years that you have a waiting period. Yeah, well, if you want.
Hey, point of order, just to let everybody know we're still streaming live.
I need somebody to be there. Wear them well. Yeah, real well. Yeah, we're very good. Pretty good. We always drill. Oh, yeah, baseball game. Play by play, we don't have an agenda. We're almost ready to start.
Come on, you saw that.
I tell them off. This is, so it's assuming. You just add part of the resolution is the attachment. Yeah. We just changed it. See that lane, Did you? What is the time? Been 5 days. Wait, no more. If you're a deputy, Not much difference.
All right, commissioners, it's been 5 minutes. If you would, go ahead and make yourself back into here.
But it says the attachment, so I guess.
The attachment is the pay scale.
But the pay scale.
So I don't know. You said So Trump. So this is the motion resolution packet. This is what that's your desk. So we can different. Came out of budget, you said, right, I'm glad there's police here. That says the attachment. What?
All right, so consider yourself called back to order. Our next, resolution is, resolution 04-2306. And that's a resolution, amending the general, fund 101 reflecting changes in revenues, expenditures estimated for the 2022-23 fiscal year. Do I have a motion? Motion by Bell, a second by Brackett. Commissioner Bell.
I'd make a motion to put this off to the budget year.
Need a second.
I'll say.
All right, got a second. And we have, so you're saying a motion,
Same thing as the last one. Mr. Chairman.
motion to defer.
Yes, sir, motion to defer.
All right, Commissioner Hooks, clerk is, entering that in the record.
Mine would be to the resolution. I was gonna offer an amendment, to the resolution.
Well, we've got,
But you've got that.
I've got to defer that will take precedence, I believe, county.
Yes. You're gonna have to deal with the deferral first.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when I read that, Commissioner, I did say amended, or what did I say? I said as amended, okay. All right. So any other discussion on the deferral? All right, hearing none, at this time, we'll, I need to, I guess we call a vote on the deferral itself, resolution,
Yes.
04-2306. Call a vote. Resolution fails, so 8 no, 7 yes. So with that said, resolution 04-2306 has a first and a second. Any other discussion on that? Mr. Hooks?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On the last whereas, where it says establish a cap on all, my amendment would be the word all county employees. So we're adding all and county to that last whereas.
Mr. Chairman, if I can't push my button to speak.
Okay, so I have a motion to amend. Do I have a second? Are you requesting to speak or second? Let me get the second on the amend. Are you? Second by Commissioner Cunningham. All right, open for discussion.
What do you, Commissioner Hooks, which one is it, resolution 4-2306?
Yes, we're, the last one, the last whereas, where it said, this resolution established a cap on, add the word all
Oh, okay, you got, okay.
and
We got
county
to do- Okay, I was gonna say,
employees.
let's say the same. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, can I tell them what I told you?
Yeah, please. You should have got it. Go ahead.
So, coming out of Budget Committee the other night, it was requested to add the language for any cap on, employee contributions to be reevaluated annually.
Correct.
So, there's a copy on your desk that is the suggested amended version based on what passed in Budget Committee Thursday night. Does everybody have a copy of that?
Which one is it?
It was
The 04-2306.
Amended.
It has amended, yeah, it has the scale for the employee contributions on it. That's why it's a different version, because that's what was recommended out of budget.
Did we get a second? Oh.
Commissioner Cunningham, second. All right, Commissioner Burry, I'm gonna go back to Commissioner Gann, who had the floor for requesting to speak. Commissioner Gann.
Mr. Chairman, just one thing on Mr. Hooks' amendment. So, all employees, is that, we asked the question tonight, is that
all employees, or is that all full-time employees? Because we have full-time, commissioners have the same insurance, but we're considered part-time. So are we gonna say all employees, or are we gonna say all full-time?
All eligible, is the correct word, I think, what we said.
That might suffice.
Everyone that's under the.
Because the only employees that are eligible for, not including commissioners, but employees, active employees, the eligibility depends on full-time status.
Okay, so.
All right, Commissioner Hooks, will you accept that as a friendly amendment to your amendment, naming all eligible county employees? Okay. Any other discussion on that?
Define eligible.
Eligible by
Being a full-time
Full-time
employee.
status.
Yeah.
that'd be the.
Part-time employees are not eligible for health insurance.
Eligible from the company standpoint, the health insurance company would establish who's eligible and who's not eligible. Okay. And that's where the county commission.
And that's fine, you, just as long as we're clarified, instead of just saying all, because there's gonna be some, as long as it's clarified.
All right, you still have the floor, Mr. Kennedy.
I'm done.
All right, Mr. Dove.
And I apologize, I was not at the budget committee meeting, I was at another committee meeting, the other evening, and I missed this, but what we are voting on here appears to be three things. We are improving insurance for all employees, correct? That's one of the things. Pay raise for the sheriff's department. And then there is a longevity increase as part of that pay raise. The last that I heard, it was 1% per year at our budget workshop that went on for a couple, 2.5 hours. What is that? I see the salaries, but I would like that explained to me on what the longevity
So
is.
in the iterations we've talked about, of which there were many, in between the work session and the budget committee, the one that was settled upon by the sheriff and our team in our office was the one that you have attached to this resolution here. The impact on the bottom line, let me back that up. What you saw at the budget workshop was the first proposal by the sheriff, which was a $1.6 million increase in pay. Then we had several iterations in between that eliminated about $972,000 in the pay increase, but created the health insurance added benefit for a net savings of, I have it here somewhere close, but about $800,000 from the original proposal by the sheriff. So there's a compromise that
Yeah,
worked out.
I wanna know on patrol, what is the longevity ranges?
Yeah, 51 it's by rank, and it begins at 51 to 53 for deputies.
So how much longevity increase is that per year, or per range of years?
It's, so from 0 to 5 years, the base pay is $51,000. From 5 to 10 years, it's $52,000. From 10 to 20 years, it's $53,000. Now, off the top of my head, I can't tell you what the other ranks are, but it's a similar breakdown.
So $1,000 after the first 5 years, another 1,000 after another 5, and then
That's it.
nothing else after 20.
Right. And then every rank has a similar breakdown. It tops out at captain at $70,000.
On the employee benefits, I guess I think that should, the insurance would seem like it should be separate from everything else. But
Well, we could have done it that way. It was just part of the compromise that we reached with the sheriff. If we added the employee health benefit, it was it was a strong enough factor to aid in recruitment and retention of employees. It was part of the overall compromise. So it was worked into one resolution. I understand where you're coming from. That could have been two separate resolutions. But for the purposes of moving forward as we did, we combined it into one.
The other thing, as part of this, the funding for this, there are, as was told in the budget meeting, is that 3 cents were coming from the schools. And as long as Connie has been here, and I'm not sure if you've looked back further than that, that the growth in the sales tax and the property tax have never been altered, but
right
now we have this situation where there's the money, the growth money is no longer going to be there.
And there's a couple sources of growth too. So you have the growth in the penny. So as property, as what we realize in new construction and growth overall, and the penny grows, then there's growth there, but there's also growth in sales tax revenue. And the county is required, the county commission is required to provide a maintenance of effort. But the county commission is not required on how to fund that maintenance of effort. So as revenue sources change, then how we provide that maintenance effort can also change. So we're seeing significant increase in sales tax. We're also, the schools have never budgeted for that difference in sales tax between what you anticipate and what you actually realize, which at times has been up to $1 million. So you've got quite a bit of play there. And because the county has never readjusted, and when you see growth, yeah, it puts us in a situation now where maybe we should do something now that we always should have been doing. The bottom line is that the maintenance of effort legally cannot be impacted, and won't be, obviously, in any budget we could recommend. And we're also considering the fact that we're going to see growth anyway for schools' revenue. We're anticipating, obviously, with the new state model, providing an additional source of revenue. And again, I'll go back to what I said in my introduction, or in my report. We were faced with a challenge, and we looked for alternatives to meet that challenge. And this was one of the ways to do that. We felt it would have minimum impact on every other department.
When you brought up the maintenance of effort, can you please tell me the maintenance of effort change that this will affect on the maintenance of effort for the sheriff's department?
Maintenance of effort on the sheriff's department is the number of employees. Am I correct on that? The maintenance of effort for the sheriff is the number of employees that you have on staff.
That would fund that?
I believe it is the number of employees also and the salary for the employees. That can never come down.
No, it can never come down. I mean, we don't treat that with any of our employees. Once we set our salaries for any, but potentially, I mean, if we had such a disaster that everybody's salary had to be cut 50%, I mean, but it's not heard.
I've held the floor for quite some time, but I want to say one other thing, that I don't think a day goes by that I'm not speaking to a law enforcement officer. The school system has a partnership, has had a great partnership with law enforcement. There is a need for an increase. We've tried to add 5 school resource officers this year. We were adding 2 fairly early in the school year. There was 1 that was added around Christmas. There's still 2 that are unfilled. There's two schools that are not benefiting from having a school resource officer there. With the budget, with the governor's proposal, we would need 5 additional. So we would have the 2 unfilled, the 5 additional. There are 7 positions that at the current salary, we're not able to is. That's a problem. That's a problem that, it's a problem when we have issues in the county and you've got officers working 12 hours a day. And that, I'm sure anything after that 8-hour mark, they're not as effective as they would be. And hopefully this can have us fully staffed as a county and provide the services that we need. But I appreciate answering the questions that I had this evening.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Brackett.
I think again, in this discussion, like I've said all along, we're bouncing around like a ping pong ball. Nobody can sit here and say they fully understand what's going on and do the due diligence of what we're supposed to do to help these guys. Like I said, it's on the way. Guys, we're bouncing around, I mean, I just think it reiterates, if you sit and listen, and the crowd sits and listens, just what's been said. We're not ready. But anyway.
All right, if there's no further, Commissioner Byrd.
I voted no at the budget committee. I'll vote again no tonight on this basis. There's two things in our budget that we have no control over: gasoline and health insurance. And we're playing with a loaded gun with paying this much for health insurance. Generally speaking, we'll find out next year's health insurance premiums in January. Our budget runs from July to July. So we're gonna be, and we've capped it at $350 for employee and family, and that's the biggest one. So from January to July, we'll have a budget amendment to have to deal with that increase. Is that true?
Most likely.
So whatever that number is what we're stuck with. We didn't have time to see what other counties were doing in terms of their health insurance, of their benefit package. I mentioned earlier, we're working on benefits through the personnel committee, but we went straight to the budget committee, so that committee has not met, has not looked at any of this. If you think back, the times that we've made the big mistake is when we haven't used our committees. I mean, that's why our committees are set up like they are. But when we go straight to the budget committee, a lot of times we make a mistake because it hadn't gone to a committee to have filtered down. I just think, I think the longevity thing is good, but I would sure like to see us tie the longevity thing to health insurance, because county employees don't have any longevity. Is that right? This is just for the sheriff's office.
Correct.
For longevity. So we're gonna be paying the same thing for an officer that comes in next week, for a county employee that comes in next week, getting the same benefit as somebody that's been here 20 years on health insurance. That just doesn't seem right. And most of this is only because there hasn't been enough time to decipher the last compromise till tonight. Are you?
To answer that point, Mr. Briggs, so when we had our budget work session, and I heard the feedback around the room about the original proposal, several people, most of them, as a matter of fact, mentioned, I wish we could do something about health benefits, health insurance benefits. Mr. Kirby, I think, made a speech about it, as a matter of fact. So I took direction from you all when I understood, okay, as is, this doesn't have much of a chance of getting approval, so let's try to find something that maybe you'd be willing to consider, So I took that, based on your feedback, looking at health benefits, to develop this scale. And it was to do something, and when you get, I've worked with attorneys long enough, you can't treat one class of, or one group of employees any different than you treat everybody else when it comes to things like health insurance. So it became a pretty economical solution to just help with contributions, employee contributions, instead of changing the benefit package or any type of individual benefits that people receive. That would apply to everybody. It became an economical solution, and that's what led to the compromise that helped us decrease the overall proposal by $972,000. So I wanted you to understand, and the commission to understand, that the reason why we're even talking about this was a direct result of what I took as direction from you all in the work session.
Where we talked about benefits, that we need to look at benefits. And I think that's exactly where we're coming from. But can we, Mr. Counselor, can we designate who gets longevity in the county employees and who does not get it?
Can you designate who gets in
In other words,
longevity?
can we designate the sheriff's office getting longevity pay and the rest of the county employees not getting it?
All right. You can't designate for the other elected officials. The other elected officials would have to designate.
Okay, so if we pass this tonight, and county official X, Madam Clerk, if she wants to, then she can pay her employees longevity pay?
If she stays within her budget, she can.
Okay. So it looks like, again, that's another reason to look at putting this off, to see if budgets are included in longevity pay for everyone. So that means EMS people aren't getting longevity pay. That's only the sheriff's officers.
We haven't changed any pay structure. And of course, this is the only one we're looking at right now because we haven't started the budget process until Friday.
Okay. And I think I get back to that's what Commissioner Parks was referencing is, so what if we get looking at all of the budgets coming in, and all of them have longevity pay or have something else in there, that's going to change the budget status. I guess that's where I'm coming from. So as this stands, we're looking at most everybody getting 16 to 20% increase. Is that what this last, is that the last one?
On the attachment,
Yeah.
you have two different, so you get the sheriff's department pay scale broken down, you got the jail pay scale broken down.
Yeah, page, is that 6, 7, 8, is that the right, is that the last?
We're on 6 amended now.
No, I'm saying on this page, is on the,
Yeah.
Okay.
on
It
the
is.
page.
Yeah, I think
That's the
Sheriff's-
last, that's the last.
Sheriff's
one.
first and jail's
Yeah,
next.
that's the last one, 6, 7, and 8. So, okay, so we're looking 16 to 20%, a lot of them. But the insurance is the one that, and we've got, I think in the budget committee, I didn't really understand SROs for the summer. SROs would be road deputies, is that correct?
Most of the time in the summer, the SRO officers are either using vacation, time that they built up, off time, or they're either, doing other special assignments throughout the summer, whether it be summer camp to the youth programs in the schools, or whatever. We get them a limited, maybe 2 weeks out of
So
summertime.
that doesn't help us.
No, sir.
Okay. And so the schools have lost $1 million and 3 cents, is that right? We've got 3 cents. Is that right?
450. About
Yeah.
450.
They, 3 pennies is what I'm moving over, which is
350.
equivalent to about 350,400.
150, well, we're not using 150 for a penny right now. We're using
No, at that time, it was 149 at 100%.
And so, another question, I guess, is under our current health insurance, we have 3 phases that we can choose, right? I think most of ours are on a premium, they're 3 levels.
There's 3 levels, but it's split. The premium is, especially for your family, they're not gonna be on the premium because it costs so much.
Okay, so,
Your single is on premium, probably your employee and plus child is on
okay,
premium.
so right now, we're looking at $300,000 to fund the health insurance package. What would that number be if say, we had people on family coverage who were in the lower tier, now we're gonna jump to the premium tier? Because it's gonna be less premium for them, more premium for us.
Well, so a couple things there. One, all open positions, we treat as if it's premium.
Okay.
So for budgeting purposes. And the second thing is, we have a policy that if your spouse has, health insurance available to them through their employer, they're not eligible to be covered under our insurance. That would continue. So you couldn't just say, okay, we've got better insurance now, you get on my insurance.
Only those that are on but those that are on our plan now, who are less than premium, can now jump to premium and do it for $350.
Yeah, and that is, we would anticipate some upward migration. To what extent?
So that's not included in our 300,000.
But that'd be through the budget. That would, yeah,
Okay. So I mean, that's a possibility.
it is.
Let's see. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Hook?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try to be brief. I guess that myself and Commissioner Burry are the 2 oldest members on the county commission. Mature commission. And our form of government has always been that we operate by committees. Those committees bring their proposal to the full commission. And most of the committees have 5 county commissioners on those committees. And we have always, only a few times that I can recall, that we didn't listen and most of the time went with the committee's approval. This is a unique situation, and I'm grateful for the commissioners that showed up to the budget committee meeting that we had. But our charge, if I can remind you all, our charge from our chairman was to bring back a proposal. That's what he charged us. We as commissioners on the budget committee, I know I did, I think others did, said, well, hey, this was after having a workshop. We said, hey, we're having a budget committee meeting. If you have questions or you want to see the process and work, but it makes me feel like some of the statements that have been made here tonight, that we're not trustworthy of setting the budget for the county, which has always been the method of operation that we operate by county committees. The budget committee has made a recommendation. It's up to you all to vote. I hope that you have put your trust, as the county executive has, in the 4 county commissioners that serve on that committee. And no, we don't always agree. But we always do our due diligence to bring things back that has been worked out through the process. They ain't nothing that I've ever voted on in haste. I've done my homework. I've listened to the debates. So it's kind of offensive to say that we are making these decisions hastily. I think we've done our job. We started out, we had a proposal by the sheriff department. I don't think any of us, Sheriff Stockton, could live with on this community. It came back to you all, as it always has been. You worked out a compromise. Brought it back to the county executive and the finance officer. They tweaked it. They brought it to us. We debated it. We tweaked it. And we brought it to you all, asking that you uphold our recommendation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Bell?
Homework is the key word, and what I think we've missed most of all, is just simple comps of surrounding counties and counties outside of this. I would charge each commissioner just to think about it, if you pulled all the comps, and if you have pulled the comps, how do they differ from from what we pay? And, you know, I comped, five different counties. Again, as I said in the workshop, you know, our most comparable county would be Loudon. Loudon pays, starting out, less than what we started out. They don't have any discrepancies in jobs. Then you go to Meigs, you know, just say in the 9th Judicial District, you say Meigs and Morgan, and they pay less, and you know, they'll have one or two missing here or there, but they fill them fairly quick. And then Ray County, you know, Ray County's right around the same mark as us. And, you know, I would charge you to do more homework and to look at comps. So we have to go by something solid, to rationalize how we vote for a potential tax hike. This will be a tax hike. This will be, you can sugarcoat it all you want to. If you don't raise taxes, you're not gonna have money for this stuff just like this down the road. This is going to create a tax hike on its face. You know, the first new regime that's in here, commissioners, mayor, this will go down as a tax hike, you know, and it might not look at it today, but in 2 years, we're looking at taxes, guys. And we did this a year ago. We got ARP money. It's not a tax hike here. Well, yeah, it's gonna be a tax hike, you know, and we're just gambling. It's like going to Vegas. We're just shooting the dice, hoping that we get enough revenue, hoping that Joe Biden keeps our economy rolling, and I have no faith in that. That all this is gonna look good and we might be able to cover this tax hike up in 2 years. You wanna talk about kicking the can down the road, that's kicking the can down the road. And it's easy to go in here and make this hasty, quick decision, especially as new commissioners, because it feels right and the emotion's right, and everybody's packed up in here. I've been there. I've been right here 9 years ago when they run a 30-cent tax hike through here. I felt the emotion. I had the people calling me. You got it. It's for the kids. It's for this. It's for that. It's for people's jobs. And they got up here and rah, and roo, and kick them in the knee. And I fell for it. And that's the reason I'm such a stickler now when it comes to the tax hikes. They got me. I was a new commissioner. They got me. We've asked for just two more terms here to look at it more and still be able to try to solve the problem. That hadn't happened. Now we're in nut cutting time. Now this is it. We're here. This is raising taxes or not raising taxes at the bottom line. And Brackett's right. There's a bunch that don't have a clue how all this works here and there. But it doesn't matter about that now, because that's what we're voting on now. If we haven't got all our comps and asked those departments if they have problems keeping officers, then we're making uneducated votes in here. We're hoping that money solves the problem. We're hoping that money solves the problem. That's all we're doing. And it's so very frustrating, to me, that anytime something big like this, and this is my third term, anytime something big like this pops up, it's rush, 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 rah, 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 they gotta do it now. Put the new commissioners in a bind, they're upside down, and then it passes. And that's what we're sitting in today. I've lived through 3 so far. I didn't think that would be the way it was gonna be with this new commission and new mayorship, and that's how it's turned into. We're sitting here in the corner, backed up. You know, we've run it through committees. I've been at the budget committees. I've heard it all, you know, not many. I don't think I heard one comp hardly brought up. And I heard some comps brought up that wasn't accurate. So, you know, this is a big decision for our county, which is definitely gonna hurt us. When something else pops up, and it always does, we will not have the money. If we do this, we will not have the money without raising taxes. That's all we've got to say.
Commissioner Berry.
Yes, I'm sorry, Commissioner Hooks, I don't talk about your trust or anything else on the committee. You mentioned we operated on committees. I agree. Not this time. We had a personnel committee that had been talking about benefits. But it didn't come to that committee. I'm gonna guess that as long as you've been on this committee, on this commission, that you've not been asked 11 weeks before the new budget comes out to spend $300,000 in the current budget year. My guess is that's not happened to you before.
Yes, sir, it has.
Well, then you should really feel, you should really not want to do it again. And you talked about haste. You must have gotten your package before I got mine on Thursday night, because you remember the first package that we had, I questioned the numbers, and it was, well, those are the difference between now and July 1st. So that was, that was the first time. So you were able then to decipher all of these numbers. I think we determined we had six different pages of salaries to go over. So, my power to you, I couldn't do that. I can't do that. I'm not gonna buy a car in 3 days like that. I have to look at it and study it a little bit. So, I'm still concerned that all of our folks don't have longevity pay. And as soon as I can make an amendment, I'm gonna make an amendment to try to put them all on there. We're separating county employees, I think now, more so than we've ever done it before. You've got teachers now that are gonna be being paid less than a deputy. And we'll be paying more for insurance than other counties. So now all of a sudden, we've got a separation there. For those that have said, they're not gonna raise taxes, then this is an easy vote, because it's gonna raise taxes. We're spending $300,000 between now and June the 30th. And it just always amazes me that, again, when we get in a bind and we wanna do something, we can find the money. But this one tied to health insurance, guys, that's an expensive deal. Health insurance, as you all know, doesn't go down. There's only one way it goes, and that's up. And for 237, is that the number I heard of employees? 237?
On insurance, 247.
247. So 247 people. maybe it's time to look for different insurance plans. I don't think the schools pay $700 for family coverage. I think we pay more than, our fee for family coverage is more than most folks around us. We need to look at that. We found our life insurance is in the same situation. So it's time to look at all this stuff. But you can't look at it from Thursday to Monday. And again, that's what we're looking at, I think, Madam Chairman, in the Personnel Committee, right? We're looking at benefits, and we changed some benefits. We've added some benefits since we've been meeting. So I think just forced to vote on this thing tonight is not a good physical thing for us to do. Let's wait, take our time, get information, so that when we sit down again and talk about it in the budget committee or whatever we want to do, then we've got information to talk to about what's going on around us and the effect it's going to have on other departments within the county. I can't imagine being a county employee and my counterpart getting longevity pay and me being here 15 or 20 years and not get anything. At one time we were talking about a 5% pay increase for everybody. Now we're down to 3% for the county part and insurance. So they're picking up a nice package on the insurance side. Very, very nice package. Probably nicer than any county around here is going to pay on family coverage. So we should be attracting the best, and brightest, and our cup should overflow with applicants if in fact we go through with the 350 family coverage plan. So I just urge you to slow down, look at it, and let's make the best decision for the taxpayers of Roane County. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Duff.
I am a little confused on the insurance. When we left the budget committee meeting the other day, I thought that the insurance was going to be left till next budget year. And then when I hear that there are different plans, but we're treating all the plans the same, which would encourage employees to choose the premium plan, why did we not differentiate between plans? Why we just have $1? Whether they have the Cadillac or they've got a basic plan.
So we didn't differentiate between the types of plans. We only looked at what our employees were contributing to each plan. So as we were evaluating what each contribution is, we just looked at it from a bottom line perspective on what would, and to be perfectly honest with you, these figures that we attach to each level, totally arbitrary, trying to make an impact. What would make a psychological impact on an employee, make them either want to be an employee, to be a new employee, or to stay a new employee? So we attached a cap on what they would pay, ran the bottom line, came up with a number and said, this is how much it would cost for us to do this. It's cheaper than a 1% raise across the board if we were doing that. That's why we felt like it was a good bang for the buck, as somebody put it, for us to provide this as a compromise to help bring down the sheriff's overall proposal. I mean, so we could get into the details and get complicated, but the thinking that went behind it was that simple.
So regardless of the plan, that's the amount.
And so what's different about the amendment that's on the desk versus the one in your hand? The main difference, other than listing what those categories are, the budget committee, it was important to them to say, this has to be reevaluated every year. This can't be a cap that we get boxed in that really impacts our budgeting capability.
Don't you have at least 2 different plans? Is there a Cigna, there's Blue Cross Blue Shield, there's...
Yes.
Yes.
And I understand what you're saying. Why not have every category, every tier?
Within those, there are
have a
different
cap?
categories that you have
We
within
could.
each plan.
You have a maximum
So
cap.
If you set a percent,
So I'm sorry.
That is the employee contribution, and then you have a percent that the county pays for. The percent
Yeah,
will always fluctuate depending on.
and to Mr. Berry's point about evaluating different insurance plans, companies, that's gonna happen. It has to happen, regardless of anything that happens here tonight. And ideally, what's gonna happen, I had a great long talk with Mayor Frank and looked at their benefit package today. Their gold family coverage, the employee pays $398. That's the maximum that anybody pays. And they are adding a bronze level where an individual basically will end up with free coverage. So all we're doing is basically, in a very simplistic way, applying that logic to the plans that we currently have. Ideally, as we move forward and look at other companies and other, whatever it may be, in our current company, what you described is where we need to end up. But again, we're operating within a 2 to 3 week time frame here, just trying to find an option to solve a problem.
Could that not go back to personnel committee? Seems like the ones that should be looking at the benefits, to have the.
Eventually, we'll definitely have to, for sure, there's no doubt. Yeah, but we're just trying to solve a problem in a short period of time.
Commissioner Bell?
So I have a question for you, Mayor. If we voted for this insurance deal tonight, would they be able to change to that plan in the middle of the term?
There has to be a qualifying.
Right now, it would be, if you change your status, married, or had a kid,
Qualifying event
something like that.
or open enrollment, which is usually in October, I believe,
So this wouldn't even factor into the,
unless there's a qualifying event.
till it coming up, so it's really moot, for the rest of the year, or until, what is it, January?
But that's when it goes into effect, and open enrollment's usually October.
It really doesn't really matter what we do with this right now. In January.
We'll know what our
We can
new
do it before
rates will be.
January and let them know what it is.
And we will budget for what we know, for, like Mr. Berry said, for July to January, we'll budget for that, and then whatever the new rates are, we'll have to do a budget amendment to match whatever the expenses are at that time.
You said we were gonna have a big increase in the family coverage, we know now, don't you? Didn't you
Family
say
plus
that?
spouse.
Well, it's the employees, I don't know exactly, it's just talk that the biggest impact will be the employee plus spouse.
What
That will
was
see the higher
what is that?
percentage of increase, we don't know that yet.
I thought we did.
I don't have those information.
Commissioner Bell, you still have forward, you wanna yield more time to Mr. Burry?
I didn't give him any time, but that's all right, he can take it if you allow it, but, so if this is voted down, there could still be another resolution with another plan on it, correct?
Whatever happens tonight, we're gonna go to work tomorrow morning.
But we can still present another one for the sheriff's department to try to.
Yeah, I mean, so if we don't approve it tonight, the problem still exists, we're gonna go to work tomorrow morning and try to solve the problem.
Right. So in this plan, are we taking the money from that $1 million that the school had, that we usually give to them?
We are legally obligated to fund their maintenance of it. Their revenue comes from multiple sources.
Right. There's supposed to be $1 million something.
There's a buffer of about $1 million of sales tax.
Right.
And we've never adjusted for that. As it's grown, we've never adjusted the property tax rate to reflect it.
So with this plan here, we'd be dipping into some of that.
3 pennies.
We'd be dipping 3 pennies out of the school fund.
General purpose school
Yeah.
fund, property tax. But that should be replaced by sales tax. They'll have to be.
Right.
Right.
Currently, there's about $80,000 growth in the property tax right now.
Okay.
So when the schools, which probably are next, that's gonna be money that they won't have to, to use,
But,
or could have used.
but it depends, don't mix operating capital.
Yeah, but they can move stuff around. That's wiggle room for it, is what I'm trying to say. So if the schools, you're taking some wiggle room away from the schools, and that's probably, well, I'm almost guaranteeing the next 4 years, that's gonna be the big boy, for this commission. You know, this raise is big to me, but it won't be near like what a new school will be if it's proposed. And this would dip in 3 cents of the school fund. Is what I'm hearing.
Currently, 450,000.
Okay. That's all I got, Mr. Chairman. I'm done.
Yes.
On this one.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Ferguson.
Yes, I'd like to say, Connie, you keep talking about growth, you know what I mean,
Yes,
on the money.
yes.
Do you remember back in the 80s and the 90s when it got this good? You might not remember, but I'm just saying. I remember in the late 80s and early 90s, things was going like this, just bam, bam, bam. One morning got up, hit the bottom just like that. I know some contractors lost everything they had. So I can't buy that, what you're saying on the growth, because you can't guarantee it's that. House building right now is going good, I agree, construction, but in 6 months' time, it'll have hit the bottom.
I'm just saying what we have currently
Yeah,
on the
right,
tax
that's what,
roll.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, but I'm saying that they keep saying the growth. I can't buy that, because nobody can promise us that's gonna be from now on. You know, what I'm saying, I worked myself out all my life. And I've seen it very much in the back. The way it's going, it ain't always gonna be this good. And I just don't want us to vote for something that, we're gonna sit here and vote for something. We're saying it's good, and we come back in 2 years, it hit the bottom. And I'll be the first to say, and I'll go on the record, I will not vote for no taxes. I don't care what. I'm a no tax man. I don't think that we should have to vote for no taxes, because I think that we need to work it out, and I think this year, and nothing against the sheriff and them, I think they do a great job. But I think, I agree with, Mr. Parks, we're traveling too quick. You know, well, when I was in business, I couldn't come up on Thursday and buy a truck on Monday. I had to sit down, I didn't have nobody to back me up. I had to sit down and figure out, sometimes it took me a month or two to figure out what I was gonna do to help pay for that. And I can't see us sitting here voting for something that, I didn't even get my package till Saturday to see what was what, you know. And now I'm coming over here tonight and they want me to vote for this, there ain't no way I vote for it. And like I said, it's nothing against the sheriff, I just think we need to put it off and study it and find out more what we vote on. I hate to vote for something I don't understand everything, I don't understand everything. And I ain't a new commissioner, but I still don't understand some, I still got questions. That's all I got to say.
My doors are always open if you want a question answered. I mean, for the commissions, we can spend hours, and the growth is gonna be there. It's there now.
So you
If your property taxes during the reappraisal comes down, it levels off. So we still maintain that same revenue we're bringing in.
But
if it does come down, then we tell our employees, no tax increase, no.
Connie, you are saying two different things.
What am I saying?
You're talking about growth that we're gonna realize in this current budget and for next year.
Yes.
Commissioner, you're talking about future growth as we look down the road. I wanna make sure, when she's talking about growth, she's talking about
yeah,
the growth
now,
that
but what I'm
we
saying,
have already.
you know, what I'm
Oh,
saying,
from
I don't believe nobody.
Well,
Go
then in
through
2
that.
years or so, we'll say we don't have the money to give salary increases.
Like those saying, everybody talks, I mean, you talk good today, but 2 years down the road, when they come in here and have to start raising taxes to cover up what we've done, I just think we're moving too quick. And like I say, I mean, it's nothing against nobody, I just think this is something that needs to be studied a little bit further, and we've got plenty of time for the budget. You know, that's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
Chair recognizes Mr. Berry.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Just one question.
I thought you said from the chair that, you were gonna go by the Robert rule.
I'm gonna yield time to Mr. Berry real quick.
I'm done, no, I don't want to violate that, I'm sorry, I appreciate that, Mr. Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Hooks.
Thank you, Mr. Truitt. Chair recognizes Commissioner Goss.
One thing, Mr. Chairman, I just want to just see if I can get this clear. The longevity only pertains to the sheriff's department
And jail,
and jail.
in this proposal.
So,
Commissioner Henderson.
I yield my time to Ron Berry.
I just have one quick question. Without the $900,000 of interest money, we wouldn't be here tonight talking about this. Is that true or not? Am I wrong?
What,
The
restate that.
$900,000 of interest money. If we did not have that this year, we wouldn't be able to do what we're going to vote on tonight. Is that true or right?
We can go 1 year without it.
Okay, but I'm saying without
Without
tax
tax
increases that you
increases,
know it's coming.
It's part of the package.
So that's what's allowed us to do this. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr.
All right,
Mr. Chairman, I call for the question.
I was about to call for the vote, too.
Yeah, then I'll redo it. I'll rescind it.
At this time, let's, put it to vote, no other speakers. This is,
This is an amendment.
yeah, this is,
Just call for the question.
04-23,
No,
he withdrew his question, so we're calling for the vote on it. It's 04,
This is to-
as amended, 04-23-06.
It's just on the amendment.
It's just to amend it.
Yes, to amend it,
Just to amend it.
yes.
I forgot to amend
What
it.
is the amendment?
Just changing, if
All
you forgot,
eligible employees.
Okay,
all eligible employees.
got you.
Then
Okay.
we'll have to, after this is amended, go back and vote on it, so, all right. Madam Clerk.
Exactly what we voted on.
We're voting on the amended wordage, the verbiage, the action verbs, and the last whereas, all eligible county employees.
Okay.
14-1 passed. All right, this time we're gonna vote on 04-23-06 as amended. I've got a request to speak up there, I'm seeing under there. What, we're still on 04-23-06 amended. Yeah.
I'd like to offer an amendment. I'd like to offer an amendment that we include all county employees in the longevity pay so that we don't have some departments included and some others not included. So all county employees would be eligible for longevity.
I've got a motion and a second, any discussion? All right, hearing nothing, so you,
So we're voting on that amendment now.
yeah, as amended, for all county employees to receive the LGIP or the longevity pay.
And
While you're typing that up, Mr. Berry, go ahead.
yeah, I'm just, and that would have to be determined. I mean, right now, we're doing 1% for the sheriff.
It's a bracket. If you look at that,
Okay, so we could use the same bracket then for all employees, 0 to 5.
no, I mean, I wouldn't know where to start. Number one, I don't have any authority on any county employees outside of my office. So to apply what the sheriff has done to create their own pay structure to any other elected office, I couldn't do that if I wanted to. Secondly, taking his, I don't have rank. His pay scale is based on years of experience and rank. He has restructured his entire pay scale on and actually two separate pay scales, one for jail and one for sheriff. So he looks at rank and then takes bands of years of service. So for example, you got brand new deputy 51, 5-year deputy 52, 10-year deputy 53. Using that logic, I don't know how to apply longevity to those that work for me. I'd have to come up with some different system.
So then it would be better for the division leads or division directors to come up with that instead of
Yeah,
you.
and to be fair, Mr. Berry, I'll say this, and I've said this too, I said this in department meetings. We do need to look to, create a pay structure within each department. To do everybody at the same time, I think would be unwise. I think, we need to plan on how to phase that in, because, again, as you see, it's not cheap to do that. But in principle, I do agree with that, because having somebody come in and make the exact same thing that somebody's making at 10 years is not fair, and it's not a good way to hold on to employees. So, on principle, I agree. In timing, I wouldn't know how to go about that with my own employees.
So then that amendment would take effect through the personnel committees working with elected officials.
Well, no,
June
we've
3rd.
already got, no,
Amendment.
we're dealing with the amendment that you just tabled, we've got a second, so we're going to
That's fine.
discuss and vote that.
I'm saying that's
To
how we,
amend or not.
that's how we, that's how.
So is that,
that's
you
how
want to
we
revise your amendment?
Yeah, just do the personnel committee, that's how we would use it, that's.
So you want the personnel committee to review a structured pay
For
for
longevity,
all
county.
county employees? And that is your amendment, so it'd be really, there's another whereas in there, that the personnel committee take action to restructure, and review the longevity pay system for all county employees. Is that clear? Good enough, perfect. All right, while you're doing that, Ms. Cunningham.
It's my understanding in the personnel committee that, like he was pointing out, that every department head sets their own, they don't have to do what's in that book.
Right.
They set their own thing, so this is what the sheriff has decided for his department, and that doesn't require Beth to do that in her department. And I know that Sharon, there were several things talked about at the last personnel meeting that she said, well, that would never work in my department. So that's just something that they could do when they wanted to do, that's what they chose to do.
And all I'm saying, Commissioner, is that if we use that same theory you just talked about with all of those, then we would have something to bring back for the budget for June 30th from each of those folks.
Well, it seems to me if that's what they wanted to do, they would do it.
They could.
They're
They could.
free to do that.
This just makes it easier at budget time.
Commissioners, please address the chair, and let's move to, sorry.
I'm done.
All right, thank you. Any other discussion? County attorney?
As a body, you cannot set salaries for the employees of an elected official's office. You don't have that power. Only the elected official has that authority. The elected official, by law, can decide whether to include a longevity program or not. All you can do is allocate the funds for their budget. And they get to decide which employee gets paid for.
So we're still fine with the way we worded the amendment though, for the, personnel committee to review this with the.
You can direct the personnel committee to review, but neither the personnel committee nor you can impose a longevity program on an elected official.
I would just charge the personnel committee to know what the county attorney stated there and said. All right, any other discussions on 04-2306 twice amended?
This is just the second amendment.
Well, this is voting on this, Mr. Berry's amendment.
Yeah, it's twice amended. We amended it once and then we amended it again.
Well, you've got to vote on that
Gotta
second
vote on
amendment.
that last amendment.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But we can't do this, right? We can't do what?
Well, the second amendment was just to make a referral to the personnel committee, is that right?
That is correct, sir.
Okay.
That doesn't affect this one, correct?
Yeah. We still haven't passed the original. We're voting on the amendment. As amended, correct, sir?
So does that impact, now I'm sorry speaking out of turn, does his second amended affect our first amended one, just because we're gonna send it to the personnel committee?
The only thing that, is my understanding, the only thing you're sending to the personnel committee is to study and make recommendations on a longevity program for all of the other offices.
We're not setting a rule.
You're not setting a rule.
Okay, all right, thank you.
And it does not affect this amendment.
It does not affect the First Amendment? No, it doesn't affect the First Amendment. The
First Amendment was just perfect.
The First Amendment, it doesn't affect the verbiage for the, health insurance contributions that was part of the First Amendment. It doesn't affect that.
This should add a 6 whereas, and I don't even remember what I said there, but it don't matter, it's the personnel committee. All right, if no other discussion, let's call vote.
On the First Amendment?
The First Amendment has passed, and it was to include all county employees that are eligible. And the second one is the 6 whereas.
But it doesn't send it back.
No.
Okay.
All right, do I need to say it one more time?
Yes, please.
Yes.
So this is adding another whereas is for the Grant Personnel Committee to review a longevity pay with its division department heads. Is that correct? Mr. Bird, that's something up?
Yes, very well.
All right.
And Mr. Chairman, I just want to be clear on this. This is not sending this back to be reviewed.
No,
Okay.
we're
Just
about
being clear.
to vote on it
Okay.
as a full resolution as amended twice. Am I correct there, County Attorney?
Yes.
I've been up since 4:30. Things are
Yeah,
starting.
all right, this votes by majority, 15-0. The next, resolution 042306, amended twice. Motion by Bell. No, we've already got it.
You got a motion.
I've got a motion.
You got a motion.
Motion as amended now.
Yeah, we got it.
All right. Any discussion? We've had plenty.
Yes,
Call.
yeah, it's on, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to do away with what's in front of us and give a 5% across the board for every employee and wait for the insurance until January till we know the set deal.
So you've got a motion to amend.
I got a motion to amend. And I think that puts us above everything that I've comped around us. I think that puts our SROs, at a higher rate. And we still have time to go back to the drawing board and see if that's just enough to get some new people in here. And money was a factor because it would be paying higher than anybody around us. And that would give us enough buffer and everybody gets it. We're not separating any entity above or below the other ones like we've done in the past. Everybody gets it even across the board. And it goes towards getting us some more money to be able to hire in, better jobs. And then we would, in the amendment, I would also like to put the, insurance off till January, but I am for looking at the insurance better than it to retain, because it's not gonna, we can't do anything with it, now anyhow, as we stated earlier. It's not gonna go into effect till January, so I would just put that off, but I think that would at least give us some insight of if this money is gonna help 5% across the board. That's for all county employees plus the sheriff's office. That would get us above all the comps around us. And I think we could still work that in without a tax increase.
All right, so let's slow down here. Because one, I let you go before you even had a second. You got a second, no bracket. Anything further? All right, would you restate your amendment?
I would amend this to bring everything down to 5% across the board. No longevity, no nothing, just 5% across the board for all employees. Just knock it out tonight and wait for the insurance deal because it's a moot point anyhow till January. And
Commissioner Bell, she's got to record what you're amending, so.
And that's what I'm saying.
All of that?
Yeah. She's been doing this with me a while, she knows how to break that down into highlights, the gist of the thing.
I'll let her translate it.
Yeah, she's a good translator.
So you're wanting to do a 5% raise for all eligible county employees across the board, and instead of health insurance benefit changes until January 2024?
Yes,
Anything
ma'am.
else?
That'll be it.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second, debate is, first up, Charlotte, Commissioner Cunningham.
Well, it's my understanding that the whole reason the sheriff's department wanted to do this, the sheriff wanted to do this for his department, is he's losing people. Are we losing people in other areas as well? Okay.
Was for attrition and.
Yeah, I mean, you're going, I have four. Can I speak to them? Go ahead.
All right, any other discussion on, Commissioner Bell's amendment to, let me read, see if I can restate it, to balance everyone at 5%, postpone the insurance till January, and don't do late longevity. Is that correct? All right, Commissioner Bird.
So your motion is the 5% raise would be based on current salaries as they stand today?
Yes, so everybody.
Thank you, Mr.
All right, Commissioner Hooks.
I'll yield for county executive.
But I didn't have the numbers with me. I remember running those when we first started budget departmental meetings in February. We were looking at 5% increase. I don't have the numbers with me, so it's might be off the top of my head. But I think the impact was 1.584 million is what I had. That was ballpark. That was my numbers, not Connie's. If you look at that was a 5% impact on the budget. That's the increase in spending. The net impact I have, I have including a 3% with insurance and the sheriff's increase is 1.16 million. So you're talking about a difference of your plan of about $460,000 difference. And that, again, that's off the top of my head because I didn't bring those numbers with me. Just for understanding purposes.
You said what again?
So,
What did you say again?
when we first started this, we're looking at 5% increase. I think that I had about a 1.584. 548, thank you.
300.
I was close. Impact to the bottom line on the budget. And I did some figuring on this particular, proposal that you had and looked at what it would be with a 3% increase. And I've got, it would be a $1.16 million increase in spending. So about a below $400,000 difference in the two plans that you're talking about. More.
All right, Mr. Hooks, anything else? Any discussion?
Yeah.
All right, call vote. What we're voting on, I must restate for clarity.
Amendment number 3.
Will you please restate it for
We're
clarity?
voting to amend the third amendment, which would be to do the 5% instead of the health insurance benefits, which would be in January 2024.
All right,
And no longevity.
thank you, Ms. Failed 10-5. All right, reset the board. Resolution 04-2306, twice amended verbiage and a 6th whereas to direct personnel committee to review. All right. Commissioner Parks.
I'd like to make an amendment. So when we started this process, we were and we're still discussing patrol officers, and we're losing patrol officers because of pay. So if you look down the pay scales and the base pay jumps, the lowest one is the patrol officers.
51.
Percentage-wise raised, you're 14, corporals are 15, sergeants are 14.3, lieutenants get a 20%, captains 22.3, chiefs 10%. You can break down the dollar value, but that's just a percentage.
And I think they build in years of experience into each one.
That's correct.
Right.
So my amendment would be to cap the deputies, all the sheriff's departments at 12%. That puts the deputies at $50,088. That gives them, including the 12% with the insurance, that puts them at 96.78.72 pay raise annually. That's the equivalent of a 21.5% raise year over year annually. The jail side, it's the same way. Jailers are 10.7, your corporals are at 10.8, your sergeants get a 15.1, your lieutenant gets a 16. These fine ladies down here, I figure they do a fantastic job. They get 15 and 16. My amendment would cap the jail at 10%, and that goes 12% at the sheriff's office across the board. All sheriffs. That gets your deputies at $50,088. That's what we were looking at 51. That's what they wanted because they can't keep patrol officers. The jail, cap it at 10%. That gives a jailer 87.84.28, assuming they have the family insurance. That's an equivalent raise of 19.5%. That's a pretty good raise, considering they pay this. Our jail pays more than any jail around here. If you run the equivalent of just a random fella above entry level, and you assume they have insurance, they're getting a 30% raise. Now look. We all want everybody to get a raise, but we gotta be realistic here. And so, if you look at some of them, including the insurance packages, their raises are climbing to 25 and 30%. Again, we gotta be realistic. So, my amendment is to cap the sheriff's office at 12% across the board. That means the corporals will track evenly above the sheriff's. The deputies, the sergeants will track evenly above the corporals, the lieutenants will track evenly above the sergeants, and the captain tracks evenly. You don't have a spread of one getting 20% plus and one getting 14. If you run the numbers, which Connie's great at, and if you, this was counting if you postpone the longevity increase, because I think that should have went to property committee, now it sounds like it might not. And if we postponed it to the 24 budget cycle, that it would have saved around $400,000. As is, just doing the payroll, it's going to save the county about $180,000. And again, you're going to make the deputies, which is what we're all here for, is $50,088. You're $900 off annually from what they were. Plus, they're getting, if they got family insurance, they're getting $4,300 more. So they're going to get the equivalent of a 21.5% raise. And so you're being responsible. You're not giving 30% raises to the folks above the entry level. You're not losing those folks. You're losing the entry level police officers. So you're being fair to the patrol guys, and you're being fair to the taxpayers by capping it at 12% and 10%.
All right, let me see if I can simplify. Your proposal, your amendment is a 12% pay raise for the sheriff, a 10% for the jail, dismiss and disregard the longevity pay.
Yes.
And retain health insurance.
And retain the health insurance. With that deal, and I can do the numbers again, that is almost $10,000 a year annually. That's 21.5% raise. Now, the average wage increase estimated across the nation this year is 5%. 21.5 is pretty good. And again, that gets your deputies, which is why we're all here, to $50,088, which is $900 off annually for what they agreed to, what the sheriff's office agreed. I don't think that's a bad proposal. I think it's fair. I think it's fair to the taxpayer, and I think it's fair to the deputies, because, I mean, you're getting a 20% raise.
I'll find out. All right, you made the motion to amend. Who seconded it? Or if I didn't get a second, who will?
I'll second.
Bracken. All right, any other discussion?
What budget year? I mean, what are we doing here? Is it now or is it 24? I don't know. Year amendment.
What did this year?
Right now?
Yeah.
So you're saying that let me clarify once again, 12-10, no longevity, time now. Time current year. Madam Clerk? All right, any other discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's the tax increase difference between yours and the other?
We're not proposing tax increase this year.
I know you're not this year, but we're going to the next year, the next year.
What?
So what's the?
That's
What's
an
the
assumption.
difference in the proposals?
I think it's what he's doing.
Well,
What's the cost?
I mean, the direct cost, analyst, I don't know, but it's gonna cap instead of, because this is reoccurring expenses. If folks get a 20% raise this year, in 2 years or next year, they're gonna want another one. I mean, just because, it's the way society is these days, it's what you done for me today. It's not what you done for me 2 years ago. And so you don't wanna jump the shark and you give guys, they get 30% now, they're going 20 next year too. This just caps it at 12%. Now, what's that savings look like over a 10-year time or a 2-year time? I can't tell you that, but I can tell you annually, it's around 180,000 a penny, a little over a penny, that it'll save.
Chair recognizes county executive.
Well, just to answer Mr. Henderson's question, as Connie said a little while ago, our goal in budget committee work is to end up with a zero impact on fund balance for this particular budget. If we're able to accomplish that, which I fully expect, and by zero, I mean plus or minus $200,000. Because after revenue comes in, you're probably looking at being, even if you're over $200,000, by the time the revenue books are closed, you're probably at zero. If we're able to accomplish that, the only tax increase I foresee coming our way in the future will be associated with any capital project that we see. That's my goal, that's my expectation, that's what we're gonna work towards as an accounting and budget department, is not to bring you tax increases based on operating expenses. We're gonna use whatever revenue we realize to drive our operating budget every year. Capital, different story, and we'll cross that bridge down the road when we get there. But there's been a lot of talk about tax hike. I have no intention of bringing you all a tax hike. So.
Commissioner Duff.
What is the proposal for the rest of the county employees?
With this proposal, 3% plus the health insurance.
Right. Okay. We're good.
Commissioner Berry.
I guess it was the workshop, so maybe let's get something together. But we're having a decrease this year in the fund balance from 46.6% to 37.9%. Is that correct? In the general fund?
No,
We
that
went
sounds right at all.
from, we went from 20, our amended was 25,043,635, and we were 2.5 million short, is that
That was in the original proposal.
right? I mean,
We're not even close to that.
so that wasn't actual, that was under a proposal?
I'm not sure what you're looking at, Mr. Berry.
Well, I'm just looking at some notes that we had for the, and it looks like we are, because we're supposed to be, that's getting us close to our fund balance minimum, right?
Yep, well, we're at about $10.5 million fund balance when we started this year.
2.5.
The goal when we finish this year is to be at, or, I mean, ideally over, but we're trying to get to plus or minus $200,000 in impact on fund balance as we roll into next year's budget. So that all we will have used in fund balance is what you all budgeted in the last, for this current year.
Okay, so your amendment, Mr. Parks, now goes in effect the 19th or 29th?
16th.
16th.
Yeah.
So yours would go in effect the 16th.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, any other discussion? Hearing none. So, post the vote, let me try to recycle what we've done. 042306, Fourth Amendment, 2 have passed, verbiage and correction, add a 5th or 6th whereas. This will add a 12% sheriff, a 10% jail, no longevity, and time current, this calendar year begins 16 April. Am I correct in my statement?
Insurance for the sheriff's office.
So I'm sorry, say.
And also the insurance.
Also the insurance. The only thing that was excluded was the longevity pay and the reduction down to a flat rate of 12.10. Am I clear or anyone not clear?
Yeah, just make sure you all understand that this sets the, as is stated in this resolution too, this sets the budget for the sheriff for 24, correct? And that's stated in the resolution?
Yes,
So we are talking about doing it now in Mr. Parks' amendment. We're also setting next year's budget.
So we're working with 2 calendar years, current year and next year.
Right.
So yes.
Just so as long as everybody understands that, that's a big point.
All right. Call vote. Resolution passes?
No.
No.
Amendment fails. You still
Amendment
have to vote
fails.
on the resolution.
I'm sorry. 7 yes, 8 no. All right, we're back to, twice amended. Resolution 042306. I don't need a first or a second. Motion and a second. All right, any discussion?
What are we voting on, Mr. Chairman?
About
The language.
Do one.
What is the language of the amendment now that we're voting on?
So as twice amended, the one just failed it, am I not correct in that?
Right.
The one for the 1210, no longevity. So the twice amended was your language on the first action verbs there of adding all county eligible employees. And then Mr. Berry's adding the 6th whereas to, have the, personnel committee review for longevity pay with all of the county. That is currently what we're on. Motion by Bell, second by Brackett, as I said, we've already tabled this one. All right. Any discussion?
I'd like to make a motion.
Make a motion or make an amendment?
Let's make an amendment. What would 3% look like, Mr. Mayor? We tried 5, what's 3% look like across the board?
God catching me off guard. I'm gonna try to remember where I might have it.
Well, we're doing 3% across the board.
Does this not have
928, 980, Mr. Executive?
Hang on.
Give me just a bit.
928, 980.
928, 980. Where you seeing that, Mr. Berry?
Revised proposed budget on this 2 sheet.
Show it to me.
23, 24.
Hang on.
All county. I think that's all county. I think that's what this is. Yeah, countywide.
Are you wanting, because I don't see where you're looking at, so those right there, all right, so what we did on the 24 proposal, and, you know, these are questions that we could have had and had this prepared, so when we did the 5%, we said salaries and taxes and retirement is gonna cost $7,781,281. We go down to 3%, that's gonna cost $7,604,458 for $176,823 savings with the county. So then you go back to your worksheets that you have on the sheriff. You take the 23 budgets with the taxes and retirement, $3,592,894 times that by 3% and get that total, and do the same thing with the jail, and that's what it's gonna cost for 3% across the board. But I don't have that, I don't have my calculator, I'm sorry.
So, yeah, we don't know because this is not an easy process to do, especially in Division 7. So, you've got a motion,
3% across for every county employee without anything with what the sheriff's proposed. 3% across the board for sheriff's employees, not on top of this, just 3%.
With a low confidence, just like I dealt with the 400, I would say, so it's about 400 at 5, so you're looking about 220 at 3. That may not be high enough. So what is 60% of 400? And that's how you find it out. 240, an increase of 240. There we go. Now I've got my brain clicking back.
Get it?
Difference of 240,000. Big ballpark, but
you were proposing to do this, or the proposal here is to do this plus the 3% across the board as well.
Without sheriff. What you're saying is with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the difference, is what we had figured out was.
And what's the sheriff coming across the board with all this, with all what he's proposed right here, what percentage is he getting raised wise?
The sheriff is the individual,
The department.
With his proposal?
Can't do anything with it.
Yeah, it's on here, hang on. His proposal calls for on the sheriff, 12%.
So you'd be taking
Hold on,
that,
make sure I'm looking at the right line.
so you'd be taking that down to 3%.
In jail, 9.
And you'd be taking that down to 3%, and we're still getting a higher number?
No. I'm saying the difference. You got me turned around, Commissioner, because I didn't have my figures in front of me.
Is there a second?
3% across the board. Trying to remember.
Give me a
It'll
minute.
be cheaper than this.
Connie's figuring it out too. I had 1.548 at 5%. Isn't that right? And you're right. You said 928, didn't you? That's what it would be. Total increase in spending.
And what are we looking at?
928.
What are we looking at before I amended it?
Before you amended it. 852.
And that's without the 3% for the rest of the people, right?
That's with 3% for the rest of the people.
So how is it lower than knocking it from 12 and 10 and just cutting it down to 3%? How is that still higher? Or how is that still lower than what I'm proposing?
This concludes sheriff's increase, jail increase, 3%, and insurance. You're saying employees only, nothing else, 3% across the board.
3% across the board.
Connie,
All right,
check my math, but I'm trying to remember back where we had 1.548 for a 5% for everybody. Now I'm having to back into my math here and take 60% of that, which will be 3 out of 5.
So go to 3%, let's say 619, 320.
Right.
Going from 5 to 3.
So I would make my amendment for 3% across the board, and also wait, because again, it's moot, we can't do anything with it till January, or till it's time to re-enroll, and wait for the insurance, till January, and just do 3% across the board. That would be my amendment.
Effective when?
Effective, budget 2024. And we're shaving a lot, we're shaving a lot of money off, and we're getting some raises, and we'll see what that little bit of money does, and if it does something good, we can come back to the drawing board. And that way, we probably might not have to dip into that school fund.
You got it? All right, any other discussion? Clerk has this vote. All right, hearing none. This is, I'm gonna state it again, 0423-606. Fifth time amended, 2 failures, and fifth amendment. This is a 3%. I'll try to if you can restate it for us, or if you captured it.
Yeah, 3% raise for all employees, excluding longevity pay and postponing any alteration to the health benefits until January of 2024.
Effective June 30th?
Budget salary. Yeah. So, votes called, please vote. Fails 9-6. All right, going back to, resolution 0423-06 as, amended, twice successfully, 3 times failed. Don't need a first or second. Any discussion? Got 0 requests to speak, no one speaking.
This is the original motion.
Original motion, this is
the wrong motion.
I'm fixing that now,
So, tell us about the
6.
motion.
sorry.
This is on 06,
She's working on it.
twice amended for verbiage and fifth whereas, all employees.
What's the verbiage again?
The verbiage is all, county employees, all eligible county employees, and then a fifth whereas is for the, personnel committee to, review longevity pay. All right. Commissioner Murray.
You know, this, as much as we've gone over and as much as we're here, I mean, this is, I think this is only natural that you throw this much out at one time. It's hard to absorb it all. We've had 5 or 6 different things, and I just think we're doing the citizens a disjustice if we go through this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? All right, hearing none. Call vote. Motion passed. 8-7. A lot of hard work. Thank you guys for your amendments and everything on that one, so let's move on. We still got a lot of business to do. A resolution amending general fund 101 reflecting changes in the revenue expenditure estimate for 2022-23 fiscal year. I have a motion. Motion by Gann, second by Hooks. Mr. Gann.
Nothing, sir, for the county executive.
Commissioner Hooks.
Nothing further.
All right.
You have anything?
Any discussion? Seeing 0 requests to speak, vote. Passes 15-0. Resolution 0423-08, resolution amending the special revenue fund 116, 118, 121, 128, and 131, and business site activity fund 204, reflecting changes in the revenue expense estimate of the 2023 fiscal year. Commissioner Brackett.
You, sir.
No.
All right, Commissioner Gann.
Nothing, sir.
All right, any discussion? All right, Madam Clerk.
Make a motion to adjourn.
No, we got other.
No.
We got four.
Yeah. Did somebody go get breakfast?
I still need 3 to vote. Where'd the hooks go?
He stepped out, sir.
Did he leave thinking that we were done?
No, he's still here.
Okay.
He's still here. I think he was asleep. He's under the day.
Yeah, go bathroom.
Occasionally just reach over and hit you.
Let's get him absent.
I feel like we need to sell them peanuts.
He's not here, you go ahead and call the vote.
Call the vote.
Yeah, because he stepped out.
Four.
I have to get back in that room, Robert.
Yeah. All right. All 12 days. Then 09, resolution amending general fund 141, reflecting changes in revenue for expenditure estimates in 2023. Motion by Wilson, second by Gann. Commissioner Wilson.
Nothing further.
Commissioner Gann.
Nothing further, sir.
All right, any discussion? Hearing none, call the vote.
Do you want me to wait for him?
He's right there.
Commissioner Hooks, this is the 141 general fund for school. 15 yes, resolution passed. 23-10, resolution amending the transportation fund 144, reflecting change in revenue estimates for 2023. Commissioner Wilson.
Nothing further.
Commissioner Brackett.
I've got about 30 minutes on it now.
Oh, 42311, resolution amending educational capital fund 177, reflecting prior approval shortage of the Olive Springs construction project 2023 fiscal year. Commissioner Brackett. Commissioner Wilson.
Nothing at all.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call the vote. Motion carries 15-0. Help me out, is there 11 in, Tommy? 03. Is that it? That's all? All right, no other business in front of the commission body. Hearing none, do I hear a motion to adjourn? So moved. All those in favor? Aye.
Great job, guys.